Maybe Bharat Jodo is being funded by BJP. पता तो लगाओ ऐसी.
One alphabet separating ISI and ISIS. There is only one alphabet separating BJY and BJP. Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Oh.
And Bharatiya Janata Party.
मेरा ये मानना है कि कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत कभी नहीं हो सकता.
G20. It has 85% of the global GDP, these 20 countries. 75% of the world trade. I think for India to be chairing it, it gives you an opportunity to set an agenda where 85% of the world GDP is concerned. Tell a male politician you find good looking. Really good.
बोलना पड़ेगा.
You are doing our poll. You have to open your poll. Podcast by your poll.
No, I find only George Clooney good looking.
Where there was this Telugu wedding taking place, and it was Daler Mehendi songs which were playing out there.
That Deepika needed to be given comeuppance for what she did during those JNU protests. So they found some reason to go after her. Harry और Meghan की देखो यारी, सबसे प्यारी, सबसे न्यारी. Harry और Meghan और Harry.
This podcast is going to be a blockbuster.
Namaste, Jai Hind. Welcome to the last episode of 2022 of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Most of the podcasts that I have done have been very serious in nature. I've had defense personnel, I've had authors, I've had doctors. So the nature of the podcasts have been kind of, on serious issues. So we thought that since it's the last episode, let's have some light not frivolous, but maybe something that we could laugh about, something that would bring about a little bit of mirth. This episode is not intended to hurt any sentiments. It's not intended to offend anybody. So I would request you all to take this in a light-hearted manner. Just like we end this year, we're just grateful that we got out of COVID. We're all alive and healthy. So let's look forward to 2023 with a smile on our faces. So who are my guests today? Let's introduce them. The four people who are my guests today are pretty active on social media too. My first guest is Sushant Sareen. Now he's with the Observer Research Foundation and is an expert on all things Pakistan. Sushant has written on national security matters, and you would have seen him on TV debates where he takes on his opponent with the finesse that only a Punjabi from Delhi can. Full frontal. Dr. Anand Ranganathan is a scientist and author. You would have seen him on TV debates too. His 30-second Takiya Kalam is legendary. Anand is sharply witty and takes no prisoners when he decides to debate with someone. No one quite knows for certain if he's a Tamilian or a Punjabi. Does he like Mysore Pak, or as he claims, does he like Chole Bhature too? Let's discuss that today with him. Tehseen Poonawala, activist, columnist, political scientist. He's married to a relative of a Vadra, so he comes in for a lot of ribbing, but he takes it quite sportingly. His brother is the spokesperson for the BJP. Tehseen speaks for the Congress party on TV debates, but is not in the Congress party. He has friends on both sides of the political spectrum and doesn't let politics colour his friendships. Abhijit Iyer-Mitra has been on the podcast before. He's many things all at once. Think tanker, writer, podcaster, national security and defense expert, very opinionated, caustic sense of humor, has friends on both sides of the ideological debate. People on social media either love him or hate him. He dresses in an odd manner, you'll see that today, and he speaks to shock, but he is a friend of friends. I have a manel here. I apologize to my listeners. Next time I'll make that change. Please explain, Abhijit, why you dressed like you are.
So, to celebrate the integration of Kashmir into India, I'm wearing a fairan.
Okay.
And as a mark of respect for the fallen in the Ukraine-Russia war, I'm wearing my Russian fox fur ushanka. It's Arctic fox ushanka.
Okay.
And to celebrate the common history of Kievan Rus, which provided the first tsars to Russia, I've also worn my imperial tiara.
But your tiara keeps
Yeah,
falling
my
off.
tiara keeps
And
falling.
scepter?
बहुत गिरा हुआ tiara है.
See, that's because
Gira
it's on top of the Ushanka. That's why.
But what about the scepter?
No, you know why he's actually done it? Because हमारे
And my
पास top
scepter-
Can we
angle.
talk about the scepter?
Yes.
Huh, okay.
See, my scepter is a symbol of my authority and my right to strike down
There's
anyone.
shoe on है.
हाँ, shoe
सीधा
on है
बोल
तो.
दे.
See, it's multi-purpose, okay?
It is.
You should-
It is multi-purpose.
हाँ.
Tehseen, I like what you are trying to insinuate.
I am not in multi-purpose. That's all I'm saying.
See, Tehseen gets very naughty, and
Naughty.
I really like naughty.
No,
But
listen,
which
the
end
last
would you
person-
use on Tehseen?
On Tehseen, I'd use this.
He wants to horse me. घोड़े की चाल. Listen, the last person who used the word naughty was Sanjay Raut, and that didn't end up very well.
That didn't end well. You don't want to go to jail again, Abhijit.
Not again, not again.
Not
yes.
again.
Okay.
Right.
Is that a Bolivian flag you're wearing? Or?
ये भारतीय flag है.
भारतीय
You know,
flag.
one
हाँ, ये
Surjewala
इसका
wore a Bolivian
nationalism.
flag, na? Once mistook the Indian tricolor for Bolivian.
I have no idea.
Tehseen actually thinks that हम लोग अभी भारत जोड़ो को नहीं रोस्ट
हाँ
करने
नहीं
वाले.
कर हाँ आप नहीं करने वाले. मैंने पूरा भारत देखो यहाँ पर भी है यहाँ पर भी है. Whenever the BJP tells me go to Pakistan, you're anti-national, I say talk to the hand.
Yeah.
So
What is? Oh, even Shazia has this. What is this?
she got the tricolor done.
I don't know what
Shazia
she-
got the Ale Haq done.
Okay, something she has where she then says
I got the
that.
tricolor done.
I have a kalma, but I don't want to show.
Right.
You are one of the most religious people I know.
Yeah,
And you're a complete believer in homeopathy.
So I've
Is
not
this-
even
is
said
this
thank you
actually
for
a
coming
tattoo
to
or
the
is this
podcast.
No, it's
one
a
of those
real
sticker
tattoo.
ones?
It's a
कोई
real
सुनने
tattoo.
वाला
also.
नहीं है.
नहीं नहीं सुनो, it's a real tattoo. And the story is, I was going on Big Boss. तो Big Boss में कहा कि ये allowed नहीं है क्योंकि वो Big Boss में आपको जानते हो decent people like Anand and Abhijit come. So he said you
First time I've been called decent. Okay.
was clearly sarcastic, Queen. You didn't hear. So they said you can't have a flag pin. So that's my. So then I got a tattoo done. That was the.
Do you
idea.
have a tattoo, Sushant?
No.
No way, ना. पंजाबी कभी टैटू नहीं करेगा ना.
नहीं,
नहीं,
अपनी
दिल्ली
body पे
वाला
पंजाबी
पंजाबी.
बहुत करते हैं.
हाँ
अपनी
पंजाबी.
बॉडी पे नहीं.
दूसरों की बॉडी पर.
हाँ.
नहीं दूसरों को नहीं बट अब मेरे को तो वो लगा था कि वो स्टिकर टाइप जो बच्चे नहीं लगाते थे वो स्टिकर
हाँ,
टाइप
sticker वाला.
I
पानी
went to
लगा
pay for this.
Phantom.
तो
Phantom
सुशांत अपना विंटेज दिखा रहा है, you know that sticker लगा के निकालना.
मेरा
70s.
विंटेज तो 25 इयर्स का है
Now
यार.
next he'll say he hates that Besharam song also.
Yeah,
हाँ.
terrible.
He just saw the Besharam song. He had not
Look,
seen it.
I
Not
think
seen
it
it.
was the music was terrible, right? I don't know why people are getting their knickers in a twist over it. The music was terrible. The
No, I
choreography
think it's
didn't.
Deepika who's got her knickers in the twist.
Yeah.
At least in that song of what.
Yeah, it's the
No,
knickers
why
is
she got
only over the knickers.
What are they protesting about?
I don't know.
The knickers,
यार हो गई काम नहीं है क्या इन लोगों का?
the color of the knickers.
हाँ, the color
The
is
colour
the
is the
problem.
problem.
The color is the problem. I don't think the
but
fact.
she's used
Firstly,
a
why
dozen
only Deepika? Nobody
coloured-
talked about what Shah Rukh looks like. Have you seen uski? I mean, this is a manal. So I'm the only woman. So I mean,
No,
why not
excuse
use
me.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
You just perpetrated gender genocide
Genocide.
on me.
Oh my God.
I am not going to participate where you have verbal genital mutilation happening on TV.
Verbal.
Oh my God.
Don't, Zarina.
उसको बुला के
बुलाओ यार उसको,
सॉरी
बुला
बोले
मत,
सॉरी
sorry
सॉरी
बोलो उसको।
सॉरी बोलने में तो
Zarina.
हर्ज तो नहीं है राइट
Come on, Zarina.
अरे sorry तो सबसे अच्छी चीज है.
sorry you know sorry very
put the
sorry
tiara?
we are the only two women here so we are outnumbered because ये तीन male gender के लोग हैं so obviously they will talk about Deepika. Why can't we talk about Shah Rukh, right?
Yes, we
I
should.
can also talk about Shah Rukh. I think he's quite hot.
I don't
that-
think he's hot.
Is
I think
that
he's quite hot in that song.
is that spray painted or is it really him?
यार देखो अगर नहीं one second. नहीं boss अगर वो spray painted है तो even I want that.
Imagine Sushant.
No, why not?
Sushant would
I
look
have
like
a
a-
1 pack right now. I'll have a 6 pack then.
He would look like a Michelin
Imagine
man.
Sushant dancing like
Michelin man.
I can
हाँ,
try to
he
do
can.
it, but
Come on, Sushant, show
All
it. to us.
Punjabis
यार.
can dance.
I agree.
All Punjabis.
but it depends on how much we have drunk.
Yeah, that's true.
बिना ड्रिंकिंग के हमारे से डांस नहीं होता. हमारे को पहले लीटर डाउन होगा तो मीटर डाउन होगा.
That's a good one.
That's a good
meter
one.
down to meter down. You know, Sushant was just saying that how we going to see it since he was the first one to come in. So he said, I said यहाँ पे आनंद और अभिजीत को बैठाएंगे. He said हाँ वो दोनों मद्रासी लड़ेंगे. तो मैं कुछ बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है. अब
As a
बताओ
Tamilian, I take strong exception to that.
ये मद्रासी नहीं ये पंजाबी है.
कौन
Look at this. He's dressed up as a Zarina.
And he's challenging
ये तो
your.
शुरू हो गई लड़ाई हो गई शुरू
लड़ाई शुरू हो गई.
देखो मेरा
dare you.
जूता है जापानी, मेरा पतलून इंग्लिस्तानी, सर पे लाल टोपी रूसी, पर भी दिल है मद्रासी.
No, that I have already had Abhijit on the podcast and we've already discussed whether he's Madrasi or Bengali or whatever. But ये बहुत बड़ा fraud है.
Completely.
आनंद. आनंद is सबसे
कुछ
बड़ा.
भी लोग
Total.
मतलब
हाँ.
Oh, by the way, I had a very good chola bhatura yesterday, the fried ones.
Steamed or?
And I was remembering you. No, I never have steamed. Yeah,
Good. There's
steamed is
nothing
an
called steamed
abomination.
bhatura.
Steamed
There's
is an
nothing called
abomination.
He
steamed.
There's nothing
stopped
called
now.
steamed.
Yeah.
That was his Takya Kalam like maybe 2 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago about the steamed chole bhature. Then it became that 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds, Rahul.
Yeah, 30
Give me 30
seconds.
seconds,
आजकल 10
Rahul.
पे है.
आजकल 10 seconds में
10
आता है.
seconds more.
हाँ,
10
10
seconds more.
seconds. 10
And final 10 seconds.
And 10 seconds में सब कुछ बोलना है. And he's even given up on Mysore Pak. बहुत decent बंदा हो गया है.
So
Now
sad.
it is like quoting from Ahle Hadith and from this and from that, and I start palpitating. I said, ab where is this guy going from the next step after this? Like,
क्यों
बस.
अल्लाह का नाम अल्लाह को याद कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ, so but tension तो होती है ना, because there was this. Do you remember there used to be somebody on Twitter called Majorly Profound?
No.
Majorly PhD or something.
हाँ, first it was PhD, Majorly Profound. So he used to talk about Pakistan a lot, and nobody knows whether he was a Pakistani or he was an
Yeah.
Indian. But he knew Pakistan so well,
Yeah.
so people were convinced that ये Pakistani ही है. It cannot be anybody else. So he was the one who said there's this word called wajibul qatl,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In Urdu,
Yeah.
wajibul qatl.
What
So
does it
he
mean?
called
Worthy of
Liable
being
to
as
be
a
killed.
Tamilian,
You are liable to be murdered.
Worthy
Yeah.
of being killed.
worthy of
Worthy
being,
of being killed.
Yeah. Killed in the sense not just killed but assassinated basically, right? You wajibul qatl because you have violated whatever. So he said, so he started that term called wajib bull cutlet. So he would. So whenever I think of Sartan Se Juda or Wajibul Qatl, I think of Major who said Wajib Bull Cutlet. तो ये आनंद जो है ये वाजिब बुल कटलेट है.
He's Wajibul
But
Bhatura.
उसको शायद
Wajib
Wajibul
bull
Bhatura.
cutlet. That's it.
No, he just stopped tweeting.
Okay.
He just
But it
stopped.
was very interesting.
Maybe उसका वाजिबल कत्ल हो गया.
But for Pakistanis, they have a very funny sense of humor.
They do.
Actually, they have a sense of humor.
They do.
They don't take themselves very seriously because it's
But
not
only the Punjabis amongst the Pakistanis.
I don't think the world takes
But
Pakistani
down
seriously.
south of Pakistan,
Karachi and all that.
yeah, they don't have.
But
they
they've
don't.
become so Punjabized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Culturally, they've all kind of homogenized into the sort of Punjabi genre.
What do you have
Not,
to say to this
no.
Bilaval's thing, Sushant?
Actually, they become much more Arabized, than
Arabized.
anything else.
Or
There's
they-
something,
that's-
but there is some homogenization
No,
that's
there's
happened.
actually that
Very little.
homogenization has gone. A lot of people speak Punjabi. In India, for example, you have 2% Punjabis in this country, right? All of you eat
Thank
butter
God,
chicken,
thank
right?
God for that.
Yeah.
Right? All of you eat butter chicken. All of you eat tandoori chicken. Basically, we have taken over.
But see, butter chicken and tandoori chicken were invented
Dekho,
in
all
Madras.
pop
Ye wohi-
culture in India is defined by the Punjabis today. Right?
no,
Not all.
It's a fact,
Yeah,
yaar.
that's true.
और कौन है बताओ?
Yeah,
not all.
Anand
Kaun
Johar
hai?
has
The Gujaratis?
has so Punjabi-fied.
No,
weddings-
नहीं यार, Gujus have a long
Their
way to
weddings-
go before they
weddings
catch
have
up.
all become Punjabi-fied.
Yeah.
I thought it became
It's true.
Gujarat.
From Kashmir to
Yeah.
Kanyakumari, it's
They're all
Punjabi.
Punjabi.
Who
वो
had
सारे तुम
Sangeet?
लोग
Where was
हमारे
Sangeet?
तमिलनाडु में आजकल my cousin's wedding they're having संगीत
Yeah,
मेहंदी
Boss, let
संगीत
me
all that.
when I was in the railways, I had gone to Vizag.
You were in the railways.
I didn't know that.
For
Can
one
you
year,
imagine
1 year.
Sushant
1 year.
in a सरकारी job?
टिकट दिखाना.
No, I-
टिकट दिखाओ.
I-
बाजी.
Listen, I would have lost the job because even while I was in training, I used to say the railways is a moribund organization to the DRM. The guy I was reporting
DRM?
to.
What is DRM?
It's just the divisional railway manager or something. The guy I was reporting to, I was still a probationer.
Huh.
And the guy was shocked that this guy is talking like this. I knew I would get sacked, so उससे पहले ही मैं छोड़ दिया. But the important thing, so Vizag, and I'm now talking about the early 90s, right? Mid 90s. And there was this hotel out there where there was this Telugu wedding taking place, and it was Daler Mehndi songs which were playing out there. So the cultural
Had
invasion
started in the 90s.
Yeah, it's
So as we Punjabis,
We've
I mean,
taken
I
over,
will
basically.
move from
अब
one
देखो, ये भी
to-
पंजाबी बन
कि
गया.
या तो पंजाबी हो या wannabe पंजाबी
yeah,
हो.
that's it.
That two kinds in the world.
So there's a very interesting
Every Hindi
observation
film
here.
has one Punjabi song basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
remember-
so without Shava
Strange.
Shava and
Yeah.
firstly nobody even knows Mundair pe Aaja, Shava Shava है क्या चीज? Do you
बोलते
remember that
रहते
song
हैं.
मी बरसा? It used to run everywhere, and
Yeah.
I
Me Barsa is from that
Monsoon wedding.
Monsoon wedding.
Yeah.
yeah, so that became
Malkiyat
that-
Singh.
nobody knew what was me. Me barsa ki hai kya cheez me barsa. But everybody would sing, and I would like go to these South Indian weddings. Bloody sara saal barish ho rahi hai, and you are going on me barsa, me barsa. Nobody knows the meaning.
But have you seen the new generation of Punjabi songs, which is basically one guy singing a one high pitched thing with just a dholak at the back? That isn't getting popular at all.
I think Punjabi artists are famous now across
No,
the
no.
globe.
Yeah.
Once
But it's-
upon a
it's
time,
little worrying,
Daler
some of them.
Mehendi
Why?
and co.
It's got
where-
gun culture.
very toxic.
Not
chitta,
anymore.
Very toxic.
Yeah.
Very toxic.
Very toxic.
Yeah.
And it stopped being that popular, huh?
No,
You're not talking about the
Europe
Punjabi
and
culture.
America, the big
you
hit
tell
is also
yes.
coming.
Correct.
In the last 3-4 years, what is one major Punjabi song that's had an India-wide impact?
अरे चश्मा
नहीं.
काला
That's not a new
Nahi.
song. That's a very old.
No.
Yeah, it's an
a
old
very
song
old
which
very
has been
old song.
redone
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah.
Isn't this
तो
Besharam
Kudi
Badmash
Lahore
song,
di.
it has a bit of that
Panju in
choreography.
it.
Kudi Lahore, Guru Randhawa, all of them they're doing so
it
well.
used to be what it used to be is no longer there, and frankly, it's very disturbing. The music, number one, it's only about drugs. It's about guns. It's about girls.
Yeah.
It's about
Gaddi.
fast cars.
Gaddi.
Fast cars. And
Lamborghini.
But wasn't that the see,
can't
even in
stand
America
that
when you
song.
have these rap
Kaan mein
artists,
se nikal
they
jata
did.
hu.
I mean, that's just part of a cultural narrative that builds up and it'll go away. Just a phase.
but we are seeing the impact of that in Punjabi
You can't-
society.
What's
yeah,
happening
got
is-
that about that you need to have you need to be open and everything, but then it's also detrimental. I feel that. I don't know about you guys.
See,
What do you think?
it's technically, if you look at it, it's not Punjabi culture. It's an import of this American rap culture that these guys are imitating.
No, rap
To
is
sell in
not
Canada.
American.
You look
Yeah,
at
Canada.
rap.
Sell in Canada.
You look at rap. It's all about guns, girls, cars, drugs.
And drugs.
Same themes.
Oh, that way.
So
okay.
you know, it's Punjab could influence the rest of India as long as it had its own culture. So for Daler Mehendi, we all used to go crazy about Daler Mehendi.
Yeah.
That monsoon wedding song we used to go crazy about.
All the
We
songs.
didn't have to understand what he was saying. It was just very catchy. It was innovative tunes and things like that, right?
Just the beat
That-
itself was something which kind of moved.
the words didn't make
That's-
sense. I don't
and
know
the
what
way the
wo
voice
rubber,
goes
rubber,
up
rubber,
in-
rubber.
I
Who was
think
Till
rubber?
now, the
Nobody
best
knew. Was
Punjabi
very
song,
important.
at least I like, is Chappa Chappa Charkha.
Yeah.
Oh, what a song. Gulzar.
But
Gulzar.
that's an older
Gulzar.
song, no? That's some...
90s,
yeah.
I think. Mid-90s.
No, early
Marches.
2000s.
It was Marches.
Marches. Gulzar.
Yeah.
But
Early
now,
2000s.
when you import American culture with a theme that, a lot of people now find it so irritating कि जैसे वो Punjab, there's one very strange tune that comes, all Punjabi songs now sound the same. And
Look
it's that
the same also. Look the
Also,
same.
it's the Punjab which has gone to America and
Canada.
Canada that pind se सीधा
Yeah.
Canada पहुंच गए. So we the urban elite, if I may call, of Delhi, of Ludhiana, of Chandigarh
elite
or
हैं.
whatever.
मैं elite नहीं
हाँ
हूँ.
तो तुम साउथ दिल्ली टाइप्स नहीं हो. हाँ तो फिर
मैं बहुत
मैं
बहुत
कभी
साधारण
भी
मैं आम
साउथ
आदमी
दिल्ली
हूँ.
के बाहर नहीं गए हैं.
ये गुड़गांव elite है.
He owns
So-
malls.
I own nothing.
हाँ.
वो ईडी वाले आ जाएंगे आप इसको
काटो
काटो इसे ईडी
तो
वाले
ये
आ जाएंगे.
पुणे का
नहीं नहीं
elite
डोंट
है.
ईडी का कन्विक्शन रेट सिर्फ 0.5% है.
Plus you will defend.
NIA वाले को भेज दो.
Yeah,
90%.
problem is not of the conviction. Problem is of the process.
I agree.
The
ठीक है
process
ना?
is the
पहले तो इसको
punishment.
जेल में डालेंगे वो इसका रगड़ा लगाएंगे ठीक है ये इसको तो स्पेशल ट्रीटमेंट भी मिलेगा
बहुत स्पेशल ट्रीटमेंट मिलेगा.
हाँ क्यों क्योंकि कुकी बॉय है.
Now that is not what I'm saying.
More or special treatment ना मिले
I don't think he meant that. I don't think he meant
हाँ.
that. But ठीक है.
But you can
special-
take tips from Abhijit ना कि जेल में क्या करते हैं.
हाँ, that I'm fine with.
जेल में हुआ क्या अभिजीत? I
हाँ,
mean
tell us all about
वो
it.
कुछ नहीं
X-rated
चाहिए.
नहीं चाहिए मेरे को.
हाँ
हाँ.
ये
X-rated
family
हुआ ही
cha-
नहीं कुछ
ये फैमिली चैनल
See,
है.
the thing was,
Unfortunately.
नहीं कुछ X-rated था ही नहीं because
Soap ना
I
था
was
ही
in
नहीं.
that
So there was no soap, no
I
bending.
was in that VIP jail cell that was
ठीक
where the,
तहसील चुप.
मैं पूछ रहा हूँ.
where the Sharda Chit Fund MPs were, right? So it was 4 jail cells with attached bathrooms there. The thing was,
Attached bathroom.
not very nice bathrooms, but attached bathrooms.
कहता मैं वापस ही नहीं आ रहा.
हाँ, ये तो गायत्री महारानी गायत्री देवी को भी नहीं मिला था इमरजेंसी के टाइम भाई.
But all the friends I made in jail were all serial killers. That jail apparently has a ridiculously high number of serial killers out there.
Oh, jeez.
So the first...
They're all in politics now.
हाँ, yeah.
must be, I'm sure. So all
They
the
will
guys,
come.
well, they're in jail. They can't be in politics, no? But what had happened was the first guy I had met, who I engaged to clean my. I didn't engage it. I didn't even know you could get people to clean your room and bathroom out there. Turned out was
For a consideration.
Yeah, for consideration.
Monetary.
It's monetary. Coupons.
I didn't use it.
Yeah, that's Sukesh Chandrasekhar.
It's coupons.
My God.
I have respect for him.
Your
I have
canteen
mad
coupons?
respect for him.
Your family buys you canteen coupons where you can buy Sprite or Fanta or a puff or whatever. So you trade coupons and get people to do stuff. And what happened was this guy had apparently killed and raped 13 women, of whom they only found 9 bodies.
Jesus.
Then there was another guy.
Great friends you make, Abhijit.
Yeah, then I made friends with
And you
another
guys are
guy.
trolling Satyendra Jain.
He was apparently an army colonel or something from the medical corps who had chopped his wife into 200 pieces and was smuggling her out in tiffin boxes.
Oh God, another Aftab.
Yeah.
In tiffin boxes.
In tiffin boxes.
Gross, man. ये कैसे दोस्त बनाए और हम इनको दोस्त
Arey, I didn't know, yeah, they were the only people
You
coming
had
up
no
to me and talk to
choice.
me.
Yeah, yeah. अच्छा, what do you have to say about this guy, this Sukesh Chandrasekhar? मतलब रोज एक नई story निकल रही है. He even impersonated a judge.
Yeah, yeah.
How?
नहीं, it's crazy. But I think more than that, ये जो stories निकल रही है ना, there has to be a reason for that. मतलब क्यों निकाल रहे हैं?
Exactly.
And obviously that he was allowed it for so long, the jail authorities were hand in glove with him.
It's crazy.
Imagine from the jail calling up and saying he's calling from the
So, you
top
know,
minister's
initially-
office.
It's not
Tihar mein sab
possible
madrasiyon
that
ko
the
lagaya
jail
tha.
authorities
Yeah.
were not complicit in
course,
many
course.
of his crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Maybe
with
not
the
in all of
CCTV
them.
footage.
Imagine you're extorting what 200 crores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
How
cash.
do you fool somebody to that
but
level?
I am wondering what kind of an idiot it was who
fell
actually
for
got who
She
fell
did.
for that.
So apparently
यार,
he,
मेरे को
he,
एक चीज़
mapped
बता.
he mapped the phone number, made it come from the landline and asked her to call back and check.
Boss.
Asked her to come back on the mobile.
No, वो तो-
And he
Sushant,
had
you
a-
know,
and he
na,
had a music system.
93% of the passwords in the world are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
To
password.
answer your
This was-
question,
No,
what
this
kind
wasn't
of an
password.
idiot?
She came and
Regardless.
gave him cash. She was giving him cash.
Regardless, no,
यार, मेरे को एक
whatever
चीज़
you're
बताओ,
frauding, how will you keep giving money like
It's
that?
feel
No,
like
not
I'm
only
looking through a
Hope,
forest when I look at
When
you.
you look at
Yeah, ऐसे-
Tell me something. 200 crores. If I have that kind of money to bribe somebody, you can buy anything in this country.
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh. You can
Why
buy
do-
Pakistan.
No, and why do you
I
need to
agree.
go through? Why do you need to go through whatever he was DRI or whatever this guy was
Because he said
impersonating?
he was calling from X person's office, which was the second highest, or which is the second highest office in our country, executive office. And he kept assuring the lady that the concerned gentleman is in touch with. And he asked her to call back on the number.
Acha, another thing, please tell me, how do these pretty girls fall for such weirdos? How does that happen?
Why are you
Such
specifically asking
attractive-
Tehseen that?
Yeah.
Because ये बॉम्बे फिल्म इंडस्ट्री जानता है ना, इसलिए बोल रही हूँ मैं कि कैसे होता है भाई. I mean, also his wife is like so hot.
She is.
And you're implying that he's not.
But are you saying that I'm not? How did she
No,
fall for
she's
me?
implying you're a weirdo. That a really hot lady
very
has fallen for you. शर्म आनी चाहिए. अरे पकड़ो, रोको उसको.
अब मैं जा रहा हूँ. And this is not. नहीं, मैं जा रहा हूँ. Promise? You will not leave me.
कभी नहीं छोड़ूंगा.
You'll be loyal to me.
हाँ, हमेशा.
Propose.
And when you go to jail, you'll not bend.
मेरा साया.
When you go to jail, you'll not bend down to pick up soaps.
कभी नहीं.
No, I don't think.
Bend
what
down
your
on
mother
one
say?
knee and propose.
I'm bringing my wife Tehseen.
Actually, don't.
No,
मैं गिर
she's
जाऊंगा रे.
proposing. She's proposing. You have to propose.
हाँ, but if I get down on one knee, I'll roll over.
Down on one knee, that won't be good visuals.
Yeah.
हाँ, so tell,
That's
no?
actually true, especially from that camera.
From that camera, it won't be a good
इसीलिए
visual.
तो इसने टोपी पहनी हुई कि ऊपर के
No,
कैमरा
you've
से
seen
बॉल
about
पैच
that
दिखता
judge,
है.
the
Arey,
judge
that is
who's
the
been suspended.
Right.
The
Yeah.
CCTV footage.
What's been
What was
suspended?
that,
The judge, he was caught in the act.
हाँ, अच्छा, right.
And the High Court has said that no Twitter handle will, tweet that clip or something like
Nothing on the net itself, not just Twitter handle, no
Oh.
YouTube, nothing.
Why?
Courts
it's a
have
court.
No,
Apparently, freedom of expression
but
ends
also-
where courts
No,
begin.
but also there is a thing that it was consensual. It was in his chambers. The place may not have been appropriate, but I think what the court considered was it was consensual.
हाँ, ये जो chambers की बात होती है ना, whenever somebody talks about consensual and chambers, I think of that one video that I have seen of a certain lawyer.
I won't comment on it.
Cannot it traumatizes you for life. That
What is the
video.
lesson from that video? Keep your drivers paid him well.
I would think that if anybody has read White Tiger, you would realize
Yeah.
that pay your drivers well and do not talk.
I pay my service staff very well.
They will not.
No, but it's
speak.
also very important not to talk.
Huh.
A lot of people, I find it really weird. A lot of people carry out a lot of business conversation.
With that.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand a car which has that glass kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
you know, it's a soundproof kind of a thing. I can understand you're doing business in a car and you're being driven somewhere, but in such an open car,
Yeah.
it's like.
But journalists will
No,
happily
imagine
talk,
if Sushant was a business. ओए MC BCO है तू देंदा नहीं है ये सब कोई रिकॉर्ड करेगा तो क्या
no, वो तो रिकॉर्ड कर
वो
दो,
ठीक
उसमें
है
तो
ना।
प्रॉब्लम
नहीं, but
नहीं है.
he नहीं बोलता. He doesn't. You know, that is what.
He's a gentle giant.
Yeah, he's a gentle giant. वो नहीं गाली देता, पर उस दिन कुछ हो गया था. सुशांत क्या हुआ था उस दिन?
Tell us.
नहीं मैं काफी
Why
गाली
did you
देता हूँ.
lose
मैं I'm just very careful in the company where I'm abusing. Otherwise I can be very
नहीं, पर
colorful.
उस दिन क्या हुआ था अर्नब के शो में?
यार frankly you know I
कल आया हुआ था by the way वो
नहीं they have you
See,
know,
Sushant and that guy.
no not Sushant
What is his
I
name? I
said
forgot.
TKHBC to him yesterday
Acha,
night
which
नहीं,
you-
but you know frankly with
Chima,
these
हाँ,
guys
Chima.
I've lost it with them. यार. I used to get along very well with them, but I think for me the break point was 26/11.
Yeah.
That after and you know what pissed me off even more on 26/11 was that there was nobody who was contrite about it.
Yeah.
Nobody showed any kind of, you know, there was this lip service they would pay. All of them. And I've seen people who I knew very well.
Yeah.
You know, even they would try and, you know, defend something, try
By the way,
and sidestep
was
it.
Rahul Gandhi in a discotheque that night?
And that was,
he wasn't.
that
26/11.
really pissed me
No,
off.
no,
Then I
that
realized
report's
कि
not
इनके
true.
साथ यार कोई बात करने का कोई मतलब बनता नहीं है. You really are not going to get anything out of them. They are so warped in their head. You know, there
Or
was
are
just
they
this.
just scared to?
No, it's not about scared, yaar. It's not that. Just look at that clip which is doing the rounds. I think yesterday, these three young kids being asked about why don't you like India, and it's not that you know we have a problem. It's an enemy country or something like. कि वो हिंदू हैं और वो
Yeah.
ये सब कुछ करते हैं. You know, the बुत परस्ती करते
Yeah.
हैं और वो हमको नहीं and that pisses me off. You know,
Religion घुसा दिया.
and frankly, the whole society has got so warped. That I've seen the kind of people who I used to think are very normal, regular
Yeah.
kind of guys.
It just ruined, you're right,
And,
it ruins the mood.
and I was so pissed off. And you know, some of these guys had come after 26/11, and we were having a conversation, and I lost it there because one of these anchors, in his show I'd seen, his partner was saying कि भाई तुमने बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट करना है तो तुम हमारे यहाँ पर क्यों कर देते एड्रेसिंग द तालिबान तुम जाके इंडिया में हिंदुओं को मारो ना एंड दिस बास्टर्ड केप्ट क्वाइट या
The anchor.
I said, yeah, this other guy who pretends to be very
Indian
liberal
anchor.
Pakistani.
Pakistani he's talking about.
And I said, yeah, you know, you pretend to be so bloody liberal
Yeah.
and so progressive and other thing, and you kept quiet. You're such a shameless fellow, yeah.
No, but you know, I
And
agree.
that is when I said, यार इनके साथ कुछ नहीं हो सकता.
No,
यार,
but you know why I agree with Sushant? Now this entire thing about Pakistan, suddenly the narrative, and you see it on social media, oh, finally Pakistan's getting so democratic, they're supporting Imran who's taking on the army. It's actually getting more Islamized.
Boss.
It's actually getting more Islamized. That's
you are
quite
right.
dangerous.
So-
Imran
so-
has gone
no,
so
no,
So
right.
why I
no,
find
no.
you,
So
you know,
see, I
Tehseen,
think
why I
Imran
find
is
you
the
such a
next
misfit.
big hope for Pakistan.
No, I'll tell you why I find you such a misfit. You say all the right things, but you defend all the wrong things.
I defend
Yeah.
nothing.
I said so yesterday.
So,
I defend
so no,
nothing.
I'll tell you this very frankly. You're absolutely right about you know what you just said right now. But look at the way you know the people whom you defend. Look at their attitude. Look at the kind of stuff which comes out of them.
Yeah, how could he say that
and you know,
हमारे
I find
जवान
it-
पिट रहे हैं अरुणाचल?
You know, and I find it really surprising that this was the party of you know supposedly freedom of nationalism. It used to define nationalism.
अच्छा सुबह से हमको सुशांत गालियां पड़ रही हैं that you're tweeting about Vijay Diwas not mentioning Indira Gandhi, right? Of course, who can deny it? Yeah,
can
about
deny it?
her
Yeah.
contribution. But when somebody tells me do this, tweet this from whichever party, it irritates me. That I don't want to do something which you're telling me to do, regardless of which party you are from, which government you are, state, central, whatever. नहीं किया और उसके बाद the grandson says कि हमारे जवान पिट रहे हैं and then after that laugh about it. Okay, he was laughing at the media, but what does it appear? You can't take that lightly, man. Do you understand the heritage which you come from? You have to uphold that.
He wants everybody to remember that
Not
it's the
only-
Union of India, but he keeps forgetting it's the Indian National Congress.
It is Indian National Congress.
See,
Well, when you lose your nationalism,
No,
you
but
can't
let's
nationalism.
get this.
I
No,
don't-
but
I
the
don't think
bigger
he's lost
problem with the
nationalism.
party, the
Like,
bigger
let me
problem
just-
with the party is that it simply does not understand that political differences is one thing, but mocking things which people in this country hold very dear
Yeah.
is quite another thing.
Yeah.
Now, these idiots think that by mocking those things, they are actually going to be winning political brownie points. They're actually digging the ditch even deeper for them.
Now that we got into a serious conversation, I don't think that's what he meant. I think what he meant to say is exactly what
See,
the
we
BJP,
don't disagree
What
with
the
what
BJP
he meant.
Abhijit, bol
what
do,
the
हाँ.
BJP MP said in
Okay,
Arunachal
let him say
Pradesh,
this.
Tapkir Gaon. And what he said was,
He didn't quote him.
no, he didn't quote him. I
Plus,
agree.
he said something different.
No,
he
no,
said
but-
they were
but-
injured.
देखो जो
Yeah,
spokesman
but-
होता है ना
injured
वो
or
वैसे
getting
बात करता
thrashed
है
is
जैसे
He
बात
said
करता है।
पिट रहे थे।
but मैं ये
पिट
बता रहा
रहे
हूँ।
थे।
नहीं, I agree on the language, but the fact is, I think the macro question is more important. We've lost 20 people, 20 of our fellow citizens, our soldiers in Galwan. Somebody
He
in a
did not
political-
mention Galwan. He didn't mention the year.
No, he spoke about Galwan in that.
Arey, in that,
spoke.
when he
Because
was
वो
making.
कट कर देते ना उनका
ना, ना.
उनका उतना सा कट करते चलाते.
He was
मैं आपको
speaking to
बता
the
रहा हूँ.
media कि
And
media
he
ने
spoke about
करा.
Galwan. He did. I
हाँ.
know this for a fact. Now the thing is that we hold Nehru responsible for 62, and rightly so. The political leadership should be held responsible. Why don't we hold the political
Fine, all
leadership
that is
responsible
okay.
for Galwan? It was a strategic political failure in Galwan, not a military failure.
यार देखो ऐसे
Tessin,
है
that's the issue
तुम
about
62
China.
और
and
गलवान को
60
कंपेयर नहीं
मैं नहीं
कर
कर
सकते
सकता. I agree with
Okay.
you. I think I
Galwan
agree.
is a
Pathankot
incident.
Pathankot.
Again, are you going to compare
Who allowed ISI? Was it the army or was it the political
Okay.
leadership? मैं वही पूछ रहा हूँ.
We'll get derailed, but let me just
I
answer.
don't want to have.
There was not, number one, if the ISI guy was coming, it was part of an investigation team which was coming.
Should have been allowed.
There was nothing wrong in it because there was no sensitive area in which they were going. Number one. एक मिनट सुन ले. आपने बोला था ना कि आप investigate करो. We asked them that they said we want to send an investigating team. We said okay, fine.
We should have said
because
no.
Then you will not have a case out there ना because you want them to prosecute the.
वो का investigate करे. We will send our evidence to them. हम investigate करते भी.
Nice,
ऐसे
ना?
थोड़ी होता है यार मतलब
Try that
कि
case.
वकालत नहीं पढ़ी तूने.
It's from.
but हम investigate करेंगे.
ऐसे
तो
नहीं होगा
जिसने
ना यार.
crime किया वही investigate करे. मेरा कातिल ही
नहीं,
मेरा
नहीं यार,
मुल्ज़िम है.
नहीं,
क्या
नहीं.
मेरे हक में फैसला देगा?
Yeah, look, either you say that, look, it was, and it probably was, the ISI was pretty much in the loop on what that
Not
attack was
pretty
all
much
about.
it was. You know
Right?
that.
So the point is, but if you are going to, if somebody has to investigate a crime, then it has to be that investigating
Can the
agency.
murderer
I can't say
investigate
that
the
it will
crime?
be my investigating
Sushant
agency.
sir,
which
can the
will-
murderer investigate the crime? Okay, let's be that. Even at Pathankot, NSG was put there, not the army unit. The army unit
He
was
has,
a few.
I love.
देखो मेरा एक बहुत small point है
हाँ.
इसमें. I agree with Tehseen in that I don't think there was anything particularly objectionable with what he said. But
हाँ.
given his, it's not what he said, it's how it appears.
Appears, exactly. I'm not looking at the
he's-
content. He's
you remember
exactly what
the
I'm saying.
Alu Sona thing he said about Modi.
Yeah.
But the BJP used it against him and now everybody
It
thinks
is
the
so
Alu Sona
easy.
was what he was saying.
What you know what
he should
irritates
learn from his past mistakes
and
that how
this
things can be clipped.
victimization that he has about the Indian media. तुम सवाल नहीं पूछोगे. You won't do this. अरे सुबह से लेके शाम तक. If you actually see, if tomorrow Akhilesh starts a yatra or if Mamta starts a yatra, nobody will give so much coverage. Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi कुछ भी करते हैं, they get unimaginable coverage in the media, but he's still upset with
But
the
you
media.
see, the coverage also that Rahul gets unfairly is night after night Rahul is asked questions, not as much as the Prime Minister. I think that is wrong. Rahul's not running this country. He's held responsible for mistakes and in
Who's
hindsight,
holding
everyone
him
makes.
responsible for
Night after
Galwan?
night, Anand is with me.
When they were in
Night
power,
after night.
was,
Anand,
Please,
what
when
do
he
you?
was in power, was he asked those questions?
But he was never a minister.
No, यार
He was never a
मिनिस्टर
minister.
क्या वो प्राइम
He
मिनिस्टर
was
के
the
उन्होंने
shadow
बैंड
prime
बजा दिया था
minister.
वो
See,
कागज फाड़ के.
And I think
Carefully
it's wrong,
chooses.
and that's the point.
So
I think
nobody
it was
was
wrong.
asking
Achha,
him
this
This is
questions
a
at that
complete
time.
act that he puts on.
हाँ, बास लिया.
A complete act that media is ignoring him. Media.
Yeah.
He has his favorite band of journalists. He carries them around. For example, I'll give you an example. And Tehseen is here now. With last couple of days, a story has broken that the Adivasis were completely against, but Congress-ruled Chhattisgarh government was allowing Adani Enterprises to mine millions of tons of coal from its forests, from a Congress-ruled state, take it to Rajasthan to generate power, another Congress-ruled state. को बोला राहुल गांधी ने? किसी जर्नलिस्ट ने पूछा राहुल गांधी से? तहसीन कुछ क्लैरिफिकेशन आया? नहीं आया ना. So don't say that the media is pliant, is for...
But one second, Anand, one wrong does not justify another
अब
wrong.
उस पे आ गए, one wrong doesn't
I'm
justify.
I'm saying, if
मतलब-
you feel that there's something wrong in Chhattisgarh, which by the way, that coal project, I'm a little aware of it, is a central government. It's under the coal...
Again, it's not the project,
I'm saying-
Tehseen.
फिर वही-
It's not
This
the
guy has been
power
saying-
क्या है? It's
this
not
guy-
that. We're
Central
talking
government-
about
पॉलिटिक्स
his-
की बात कर रहे
मैं
हो.
पॉलिटिक्स की बात कर रहा हूँ.
अगर पॉलिटिक्स
technical
की
है.
बात कर रहे हो ना,
वो इसलिए नहीं पूछ रहे हैं ना,
politics
sir.
is a lot about perception.
I agree.
How do you manage the perception?
I agree.
How have they managed the perception?
Totally
When you
agree.
say without thinking what you are saying, then obviously other
Achha,
I
let's-
don't think-
let's
I don't
move
think he's
to
saying
another
thinking,
perception.
But I'm just disagreeing that the victim thing. That's not true. He is victimized night after
अच्छा,
night. and I stand
perception
by it.
battle में what happened in Maharashtra? Tell me, has Uddhav lost the perception battle? Has Shinde won the perception battle?
Can I
And
say
there
this
is-
since I come from
Since you are
Maharashtra?
from Maharashtra.
I think, and I'm going to be very upfront here. One, I think this alliance with the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Shiv Sena.
He's saying it now, sorry.
No, I'm saying it very good. No, I've said it then. So the alliances ban karna
Please
chahiye.
allow me 30 seconds of laughter on this.
Please laugh. उस पर, yeah, it's harming. Because the core Congress vote, look, Congress loses votes when a regional party grows. It stands up against the BJP. Win, lose, वो दोनों के बीच की लड़ाई है. अब regional party आ जाती, Congress loses its relevance, number one. So your core voter, who was not a Shiv Sena voter, is now suddenly thinking it's okay to go to Shiv Sena. So you lose your importance, number one. Number two, I don't understand, and I'm saying this very openly, on that metro issue, okay? The High Court, till that point, they cut the trees. I was against it. Why do you want to cut so many trees? You could have figured out a way. They've already cut the trees. Ab bache the 47 trees. The High Court ruled, NGT ruled, Supreme Court ruled. Again, you're going for those 47 trees and you're stalling development. People get against you, which Aditya was doing. I don't like this.
But is
The
he a
country-
lambi race का
No,
घोड़ा?
but let-
नहीं, यार,
अच्छा, इसको 10 seconds दे दो,
मुझे
please.
नहीं, मुझे 1 मिनट चाहिए.
हाँ, अच्छा,
Because-
हाँ, ये YouTube है, तुम जितने
हाँ, तो
मिनट लेना है ले लो.
वाह, सुभान अल्लाह. नहीं, ये देखो, ये हिपोक्रेसी की सीमा है ना तहसीन की.
तहसीन ने ट्वीट किया मैं इसके खिलाफ.
नहीं, मैं
कोई
बताता
hypocrisy
हूँ.
की
अभी
सीमा
कह रहे
नहीं.
अच्छा, बोलने दो ना.
नहीं, मेरे वो attribute क्यों कर रहे हो?
हाँ.
Because
इसका mic बंद करो.
whenever he says
ये
something
मेरे
which
शौहर
is
को कुछ मत बोलो.
Thank you. Come here. That's why I love you.
your fourth husband
Censored.
or first?
ये censored होगा?
नहीं, कोई censor
ये
नहीं
क्या
है.
censored हो रहा है?
ये क्या सेंसर्ड है? हम दोनों का प्यार तुम सेंसर करना चाहते
Not good.
दोनों निकलो बाहर, गुस्से में.
फोबिक है. I just wanted you to
God,
see
नहीं, don't leave
Yeah,
now.
ये शुरू हो
Please
गया.
stay where you are. फिर शुरू हो गया. हाँ, अब आनंद को
मैं ये
बोलने
कहना
दो.
चाह रहा
डॉक्टर
था
साहब को बोलने दो.
कि मैं ये कहना चाह रहा था कि इसने 3-4 दिन पहले जब कांग्रेस को बहुत बड़ी हार मिली गुजरात में, ही सेड समथिंग व्हिच आई अपलॉडेड हिम. ही सेड कि लेफ्ट लूनीज के चक्कर में कांग्रेस का बैंड बज रहा है.
हाँ.
कांग्रेस इज नॉट एंटी डेवलपमेंट. सो अब वहाँ तक ठीक था. अब ये 1 साल बाद जाग रहा है कि भाई बहुत बड़ी मिस्टेक थी महाराष्ट्र में. लेकिन अभी देखो, ये हिमाचल में जीते हैं. इट इज़ गोइंग टू डिस्ट्रॉय द स्टेट. This old pensions, reverting to old pensions.
Old
I'll tell
pension
you
scheme,
why.
yeah, the new
Manmohan
pension.
Singh was a votary for junking this old pension scheme and getting the new pension scheme. Montek Ahluwalia is on record saying there is no bigger freebie than this old pension scheme. It will destroy the state. वोट के चक्कर में, जीतने के चक्कर में तुम लोग एंटी, इट्स गोना, 78% of the tax revenue of Himachal is going to go in paying for the old pension scheme, यार. 78%.
So are
पैसा
they
है
really
नहीं,
going to
लेकिन
do
जीत
it?
गए.
Reply to it.
अब now I want you to reply because you have specifically said that Congress is pro development. मैं फार्म बिल्स की बात नहीं कर रहा जो कि आपके मैनिफेस्टो में था, जो आप यू टर्न मार दिया. यहाँ पे तो आप स्टेट को डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हो. आपके पुराने प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कहा है कि वी मस्ट जंक ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम. व्हाई हैव यू गॉन बैक?
They junk the Prime Minister only.
to be fair to Tehseen,
Your husband, no, but first let your husband
let
talk,
him-
then you.
No. To be
Women-
fair,
Yeah,
to
that's the
Tehseen,
sanskari way of doing
he,
things.
he has been telling me since the alliance was formed, this is not good for
Yeah.
us.
Actually, he's
And
been
I've
saying
heard-
this for 5-6 years that any alliance that
Privately,
Congress
privately.
नहीं, मैं ट्वीट भी करता हूँ. आप मत-
नहीं,
Congress-
publicly
No,
publicly
also,
Did he publicly say Mahavikas Aghadi is a bad idea?
देखो,
Never.
तुम्हारी
हाँ, हाँ,
He's
मैंने
implied
नहीं,
it
नहीं,
several
Publicly
times.
you never said.
the point which you make, the political point is correct, but where you are missing out in that Congress party no longer has that fire in the belly that I want to recover my political ground.
But what is this Bharat
Party
Jodo then?
जीत गए ना, हिमाचल में
Is
जीत
it
गए ना?
Bharat Jodo supposed to be that fire in the
want to
belly?
concentrate on.
कांग्रेस का member
No,
हूँ।
I don't know
I
it's a flop. I don't think it's a
I
flop.
want to concentrate on Himachal because Himachal has been a slap on all those who were saying कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत होगा. नहीं हुआ ना.
नहीं हुआ.
मेरा
see,
ये
what
मानना
is
है कि
good is-
कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत कभी नहीं हो सकता. ये
Yeah.
मेरा मानना है. पर आप explain to me हिमाचल में why are you destroying the state in order to win the
मैं
election?
आपको दो चीज बोलता हूँ.
Explain
एक,
this.
हिमाचल is a fantastic win for Congress. It's a win in a Hindi heartland state. It's a win in a state with 95% Hindu population.
Upper caste.
65% upper caste population, and it's a win also on the issue of nationalism. Remember, Priyanka Gandhi's campaign was against Agniveer. Now you can agree, disagree with Agniveer. It was a campaign. और हिमाचल और गुजरात में एक फर्क था. ये जितने लोगों ने अपनी दुकानें चलाई थी ना 2002 में, कोई आपको गुजरात में बचा नहीं पाया. हिमाचल में कोई नहीं आया. आपने मुद्दों पर लड़े, आप जीत गए. You defeated Prime Minister who said Himachal is my second home, मेरे नाम पर वोट देना, किसी कैंडिडेट को मत देखना. So it's a big win. So Congress should celebrate it. Your specific question on the finances of Himachal.
No, 1 minute. Let's go back. We'll come to the finances. Congress should celebrate.
Just to note, Himachal was the one state where Rahul did not go in campaign.
Yeah, Priyanka did. So Tehseen has already gone on air to say that Priyanka. So
मैंने सचिन पायलट और बाघेल जी को भी क्रेडिट दिया था, अभी आने बट हर चैनल पे दिया.
हाँ,
बता
so
दो आपको.
and when
और
he
local
says it, he
leadership को भी दिया था.
smiles when he says Priyanka, and then of course everybody
अब
said
मैं
that.
वोट कांग्रेस को देता हूँ. दिस इज अ फैक्ट, मैंने छुपाया
हाँ,
नहीं.
तो ठीक है. Why we doing this Tehseen attack आंदोलन?
नहीं, कोई
Let's
दिक्कत
not
नहीं
do
है.
that. So you know the thing is that you talked about
मैं रोज
celebration.
2-3 किलो गाली खाता हूँ.
So this whole talk about celebration, the BJP gets criticized hell of a lot that तुम ज्यादा ही हर चीज को बड़ा चढ़ा के celebrate करते हो. You do this जश्न का माहौल when even it's a minor victory. The Congress, on the other hand, is so used to being a Shia, whipping itself, that they forget that it is reason enough to celebrate. I'm sorry,
वो
I'm
तो
not.
जाना चाहिए था.
हाँ.
कांग्रेस हेडक्वार्टर्स. मैंने
उनका-
आनंद को कहा, हम ऑन एयर थे, जाना चाहिए था 8 बजे. अच्छा, and I'll tell you what the problem is. And I'll add to what you say, and I agree to this. Sometimes you feel that media is not being fair to you, which I agree. But had you gone 8 p.m. to Congress headquarters, everyone would have cut in. क्योंकि PM बोले 6 बजे, 8 बजे आप जाते. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ people would have cut in to as much time as PM would have. He's PM. But वो visuals आ जाते. It's a visual game. Why is Bharat Jodo getting the coverage? It's getting the coverage क्योंकि 6 बजे लोग उठ रहे हैं, चल रहे, बाकी सारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज कुछ नहीं कर रहे. तो चल रहा है, सोशल मीडिया पे आ रहा है, मीडिया पिक्स इट अप, लोकल मीडिया पिक्स इट
No,
अप.
it is uniting India
Media-
against the Congress. That's
Media, no, I don't. I think Bharat Jodo's actually got.
I think Bharat Jodo is working
I
for
think it's
some, to
working.
some extent.
And I
Really?
think it's got a momentum going where now, how much ever you attack it, T-shirt, shoes, I think for the Congress supporter or the anti-BJP supporter, there is something to look forward to, and the cadre is motivated.
exactly what the BJP wanted.
I
They
think-
don't want a united opposition. They want Congress as an opposition.
And you know this whole thing of Congress
Please
Mukt
understand
Bharat, it sounds fabulous for the BJP. There's this catchy slogan and all. I don't think the BJP wants a Congress Mukt Bharat.
absolutely
And the
not.
BJP
It
is
doesn't-
more Congress than the Congresses.
No, that's a different thing.
Arey,
Ideology.
इससे
I'm
ज़्यादा
saying
socialism है.
Arey,
Here's
Here's
the
the
as a
story for you.
political
I
party.
bet you maybe Bharat Jodo is being funded by BJP. पता तो लगाओ तैसी.
हाँ.
उसका
कुछ
बेचारा-
insider knowledge दो.
They would not want an
See,
Aam
there is
Aadmi
only
party
one,
to rise.
like Sushant Sareen used to say there is only one.
What do you mean used to?
letter-
He's still here. He's alive.
Yeah.
Used to say, because the organization I'm talking about died, he used to say there is only one alphabet separating ISI and ISIS. There is only one alphabet separating BJY and BJP.
BJY कौन?
BJY क्या होता है?
Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Oh.
And Bharatiya Janata Party.
I thought he's talking about Yediyurappa, BJY,
मुझे भी ऐसे कुछ लगा.
BSY.
Plus
Bharat
these
Jodo
acronyms are very
Yatra,
this.
Bharat Janata Party. Only Y and P are different. I'm telling you, this is fully BJP funded.
Okay, Bharat Jodo Yatra, BJP funded.
I
Okay.
hate these acronyms
So-
with BJ and all.
Okay.
और ये PM इतने यूज करते हैं आप कंफ्यूज हो जाते
अच्छा
हो.
मेरे को ये बताओ.
देखो पीएम
who's
के
going
साथ
to
तो
be-
ये है,
हाँ.
अगर तुमने कोई प्रोजेक्ट पास करवाना है,
हाँ.
उसका एक्रोनिम अच्छा होना चाहिए, प्रोजेक्ट पास हो जाएगा. And I have seen all babus
हाँ.
spend hours trying to figure out a good acronym.
But
Unlike Pakistani babus who couldn't figure out you know what and you know what.
I know what you're talking about.
I have no
अच्छा,
idea.
but okay, tell me, what about the...
They came
the-
up with a thing called GANDU and
I
RANDI.
know, that's what
No,
I-
that I picked
Oh,
it
you
up.
picked it up first.
I picked it up the first, and I don't know where I said it. Maybe it was on those days I used to be on Facebook, where I said, "Ke are they really serious that they simply
And they
lost
also
it?
came up with Pakistan Institute of Strategic Studies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody
So
can
they
click on
take-
that.
No, but
Acronyms
there
are
is also-
important. Let's not play down the importance.
Okay,
But in their case, those acronyms were actually quite appropriate.
That was
yeah.
good.
So Mahua Moitra
was-
को मैंने उसका वो Brute India का देखा. I didn't see the whole speech. I think something else was on that day. So I didn't see the whole speech. I saw the Brute का
Is it true she has
part.
a handbag like what you have? The Louis Vuitton one?
अरे वो बैंकर थी
I
बेचारी.
have a
Or was
better
it your handbag that she was using? You had
So-
loaned it to her.
ओ तूने इस बार वो चैनल का बैग खरीदा था ना, चैनल का.
Channel का,
यहीं पे है,
Chanel.
कहीं पे है वो।
हाँ, यहाँ पर ही
एक
है।
मेरे को-
यही है ना?
अभी मैंने
हमने
देखा
भी
था,
note
हमने
किया
अभी
था।
notice किया था।
हमने भी नोटिस
I'm
किया
the
था।
only one who doesn't
हम
have
तो
any
मेरे टाइम तो
brands.
सरोजनी नगर से लाए थे, ये यहाँ कहाँ से आया?
भैया हम तो चाइना में इसीलिए जाते थे, वहाँ पर वो जो चीप नॉक ऑफ्स होते थे ना, गुच्ची का बैग आपको 50 युआन में मिल जाता था.
तो ये है ना, ये
गकी
this I got from Bangalore. Let me tell you, I loved it. It's such a pretty silk one. So after I got it, then my cousin noticed. She said, "Oh, it's a Gucci design." So I said, "Is it?" So ये देखो. So
Gucci
I
है.
said, "No, it's a Gyachi."
I'm the only one who has more
The
brands.
beda gar ko mera, like, you know, I bought it because it was so pretty, and only when she saw it, she said, "Smita ka, what have you done? You bought a Gyachi instead of a Gucci." Like,
तो
you
ये भी
know.
अर्मी सोच के हरामी की पहन रहा है, परफ्यूम पहनी हुई है इसने.
No, hers is a
Hermes.
Hermes. No, hers is a
Had to
Louis
smell good for
Vuitton she had. But listen, Akhilesh's wife was carrying a Goyard, and I tweeted that.
ये क्या
And
होता है?
Carrying a what? Sorry.
a Goyard bag, which is a very super exclusive bag. I
Give
mean,
us the
a-
price range.
So the Chanel is very obviously.
Channel.
चुप करना. So Chanel is very obvious. Louis Vuitton is very
Price
obvious.
range. Price
तो
range.
मुझे नहीं पता.
नहीं ऐसे नहीं सुपर
हमको
दाम
क्या-
बताओ भैया.
हम तो आम आदमी टाइप के लोग हैं.
It's
हमको
a
तो
couple
पता
of
नहीं.
lakhs.
Couple
okay?
of lakhs,
So now being a Samajwadi and you know you're carrying a Goyard bag on the day of your
Goyard.
swearing in. So
How
but
do you know it was not a knockoff?
No, why would she have a knockoff?
Yeah, she wouldn't
See,
have.
that's another
वो पता
thing.
चलता है.
When Mayawati used to carry a smart leather bag, कितना मजाक उड़ता था उसका,
exactly.
right? But if a Mahua or
उनके तो
Vasundhara
statue-
would carry,
उनके तो स्टैचू में भी आया हुआ है, यहाँ पे Louis
But
Vuitton
see,
लिखा हुआ है
but
बैग
you
पे.
see, Mayawati ji used to actually carry it to give the empowerment message.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
Exactly.
was done politically.
Yeah.
So those statues having the handbag is
Yeah.
deliberate.
Why
And
not?
she used
kind
to
of?
Why
use
not?
it to
Yeah.
motivate the
And-
crowd. She would say,
Yeah.
मैंने जाके ये handbag खरीदा, मैंने जाके इतना property खरीदा. It was a message of financial
But
empowerment.
what a joke it was, right? Before it became politically incorrect to laugh about, but about something, it was something to laugh about. Like if a Mayawati or anybody else, for that matter, even from the BJP, is to wear diamond earrings, you laugh. But if a sophisticated Congress person is to wear diamond earrings, वो तो खानदानी है.
नहीं नहीं यार देखो
उसके पास
that
है.
logic is the same. If you speak English in a good clipped public school accent, आप में सारी अकल है दुनिया भर की.
जैसे आनंद.
अगर आप
जैसे आनंद.
जैसे आनंद.
जैसे आनंद.
जैसे आनंद.
अयो.
He's also from the college across the road.
Oh God, yes, that's another thing. He's from Stephens and then JNU.
and then
तो-
and then
नहीं,
Cambridge
JNU only.
हाँ?
and then Cambridge
हाँ, Cambridge also. Yeah.
ठीक है, तो-
So वो Cambridge की बात kभी नहीं करता हूँ. Have you noticed?
Oh, you never speak about Cambridge?
He never
नहीं,
talks.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं.
That he's foreign
You know, in
educated.
private he says all
I
of
didn't
this
know
to me.
this.
You know.
अब मैं on air बोलने वाला हूँ.
So you know, I was talking about my new house and how I'm doing it up, and suddenly I don't know how the accent changes. Like, Abbe, you know, a true English gentleman only has wooden floors. Marble is meant to be for bathrooms.
That sounds like you know who,
I know.
right?
Lord Ho Ho.
Lord ho, he ho.
No, it sounds like a politician that we will not discuss about. Shall we? Yes, the flick. Yes, but he's
But if you are to discuss shampoo, then please discuss conditioner also, Mr. Sibbal. They come as a pair, shampoo and conditioner.
ये कितना cruel है ना. अच्छा नहीं, but
No,
ये
but
बात चली
we were
थी.
discussing Goyard, right?
So, Goyard.
Please
we
go
were
back to that.
discussing-
Yeah.
Yes.
We were discussing
By
handbags.
the way,
So-
that Hina Ribani has tweeted that brute ka again. So she was also carrying a bag. Right? But
Oh,
that was-
Bagwati, she's the
Bagwati.
originally
She's
Bagwati.
the original Miss Bagwati.
she's the
Which
origin-
brand is this?
No.
Acha,
Bagwati is
She
all
had a
bags.
Birkin.
Birkin.
Yeah,
ये
Birkin
आपने
is like-
पहले नाम पाजी नाम
And Birkin
सुना
is
है?
He
super
knows.
exclusive.
Yeah, super
So
exclusive.
if you want a Birkin, there is
Cost
a list.
again, cost.
It can be anything between
Yeah,
10 lakhs starting
What?
to 30, 40 lakhs depending on the
Yeah.
skin.
What?
But that's not the
crocodile
point.
skin
skin
with-
hota hai.
Crocodile, ostrich, etc. But that's not the point.
40 lakhs.
अरे वो point नहीं है. Point सुनो. You are now on a waiting list, and Amaze will think if you are worthy enough to own it or no.
Correct.
A.
Was she
B.
worthy enough because she owns slaves in her farms?
Hina Khar?
हाँ, she's
मुझे
a
क्या
feudal
पता?
यार. She's a feudal from
Actually, so
there.
I must tell you, when I went to interview Hina Khar, now she comes to India, and when she gets down, she's carrying this Hermes bag, right? Now, Indian
Okay,
women
now she's
politicians-
carrying a Hermes bag.
And the Birkin is
Birkin is an
Hermes.
Hermes.
It's made
Oh.
by Hermes.
Huh. So he's trying to be too Sida. I'm sure he knows all
He
this.
knows. He
Yeah,
knows.
this is all
Yeah,
pretense.
कुछ भी.
ये सारे BJP
सबको
pretense
पता
है.
था ये मेरे को
Pretense
पता
है,
था.
सब.
Sorry.
हाँ. So she gets down carrying this Birkin bag, and obviously, like people noticed, and Indian women politicians underdress. As a rule, we had Sushma Swaraj, and we had all these people.
Even Sonia Ji.
Sonia Ji also. She wears gorgeous saris, but you'll never find them.
Underdress also.
It's the sari that is gorgeous. You never wear jewelry, or even the handbag.
Handbag is never,
this.
never.
It's like the Indian politician who wears
Yeah, yeah.
a pajama kurta. and-
Yeah.
So
always.
it's always underdressed, whereas Pakistani women politicians are always dressed to the nines. Now she gets down carrying the bag, and everybody talks about Bagwati, and things like that. She comes down and she checks into the hotel, and we're a whole bunch of foreign beat. I used to do foreign beat, whole bunch of foreign beat journalists out there waiting to interview her. She knows the ruckus which her bag has created,
Acha.
and she's wearing designer glasses, everything. So we go inside to interview, one by one, we go inside to interview her. And what do we see? The Birkin has a chair of its own.
Wow.
No, but that's true.
And it's not just a chair, it was a couch.
See, that's
true.
called chutzpah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I really said hats off, lady.
Salam,
That's true.
salam.
That's true.
She
Women
had
who have
a
these
couch
bags will
for-
always have a chair or a stool next to it.
हाँ.
That's a requirement.
Stool अलग बात है यार.
हाँ.
Stool में हम Louis Vuitton रखेंगे.
हाँ, वो
But
couch.
This
Birkin
was-
had a couch.
It was pride of place.
She did not see what happened with
So the-
Maua. Maua had a bag in
And
the
she had
in the
hid it.
yeah,
She actually
and then
hid it.
somebody obviously sent a message or whatever, and it seemed like that. We don't know what the truth is, but she put it down. Firstly, you don't put a Louis Vuitton on the floor.
Yeah, it's
ऐसी
not.
ऐसी तौहीन नहीं करनी चाहिए,
agree.
right? मतलब कुछ तो respect होना चाहिए, but whatever the need of the hour, I guess. So she put it down, and
By the way, they were pro-Nazi, Vuitton, the family.
that's like saying BMW.
So
Hitler
was
का
Hugo
था.
Boss.
so
So was
was-
Volkswagen is
yeah.
a Nazi company.
All the German industrialists were pro-Nazi,
Yeah.
except for one who helped the Nazi prisoners escape. He had a steel production tender. Except for one, the rest, all of them had
Steel
gone.
was all Krupp. Krupp was the arch Nazi, boss.
One of them was a rival to Krupp.
तो अब हम नाजी की बात कर रहे हैं तो फिर let's talk about बिलावल ना.
Oh, what was that
He said
statement?
RSS का SS is because of Hitler का SS. कहाँ से history सीख के
No, he
आता है
meant
ये बताओ?
Subramaniam Swamy.
इसमें स्वामी का क्या लेना देना?
SS.
नहीं नहीं उसका खुद का पेरेंटेज देखो यार.
हाँ.
बॉनी एंड क्लाइड का बच्चा है. ठीक है ना? No, seriously. But this woman, Benazir Bhutto was horribly corrupt, right? As was Asif Zardari.
It's a 10%.
Just a 10%.
Right?
People have forgotten that Mr. 10%. Those who don't follow
Their
Pakistani
niece
politics.
wrote a book.
Fatima.
That's right.
Fatima.
No, वो तो कुछ
On
और ही है.
the father's murder, when she became prime minister by the
Murtaza's
corrupt police.
daughter. That's a different
इतनी
story
casually
altogether.
उसमें कहा हुआ है कि someone came and gifted $10,000 Rolex and he accepted. मतलब it's like it's not even
No,
something
I
that
mean,
I
that
would
is-
say.
You look at
They
the
say it with
latest
pride.
scandal of Imran Khan, yeah.
Yeah.
He has taken stuff worth some couple of billion Pakistani rupees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some obscene amount and paid just a fraction of the money.
See,
But
this
he
is
has a
all
house in
ISI
Lahore,
propaganda.
but he has-
Imran Khan is the future of Pakistan.
No, I hope he is.
And I
We've
think
done
this
this
is all
before. Don't do this
ISI.
again.
Yeah,
to me.
we want Imran
You pulled
Khan
this
to be-
surprise on me
Please,
once.
we
Don't
all-
do this again.
This
on
is
me.
all
One thing
ISI
India wants is Imran
propaganda
Khan.
against the most upright, honest politician who's the only spark of future that Pakistan
I need to
has.
have another cake.
Number
He
one.
rubs dal makhani.
But Sushant, even
Let me give you a
believe
contrary
that.
opinion
कि
on
इंडिया के लिए
Bilawal.
बहुत अच्छा है कि
मैं तो
इमरान
मानता हूँ कि
I thought
उससे अच्छा
United.
क्या हो सकता है.
लाओ इसको.
जो भी पाकिस्तान के बैंड बजाता है वो इंडिया के लिए अच्छा है.
I'm
हाँ,
gonna
अपने आप
play
And I
devil's
want to see
advocate.
what Pinky Pirni looks
I'm
like.
playing devil's advocate for Bilawal. See, Bilawal's mother was killed by the ISI. We all know that.
तो हमारी गलती नहीं है. Sorry.
No, I know.
हाँ.
Now, his thing is, imagine how
There are allegations
scared
that
he would be.
she was killed by her own husband.
No. I say.
There are allegations.
It
there
is
are-
a Toyota ka.
I've heard a lot that the son also
latch,
believes that.
hatch.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Yeah, there's all kinds of conspiracies.
The rumor
Musharraf
back
ka.
then and even later
Huh.
was that Benazir realized Asif Zardari is a liability. She had kept him out because it was very clear in 2007 that she's coming back to power. She had kept him out. He was not involved in any political decision making. Then she comes back, she dies, and he takes over the party. He produces this will, which was pulled out of thin air. That this party, I am going to inherit the party along with my son.
Then who shot Imran Khan?
It also
You know that the ISI and
it
the army
also
does
affected the
Yeah,
sister
Imran
Bakhtavar
Khan-
really
Yeah, shot
badly.
in the knee. What? Kuch nahi
नहीं, but-
shot.
नहीं
But हुआ ना.
It
नहीं
affected
वो
the sister.
जो गोली लगी है ना वो गोली लगी है वो एक्सीडेंटल लगी है
नहीं 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 नहीं
नहीं,
It
he was
wasn't.
a target.
So
He
you
was
know
a target.
Bakhtavar was the one that was talking
किसकी
to
बात कर रहा है अब ये इमरान की बात
मैं
कर रहा
इमरान
है
की
अब तो
बात कर
बख्तावर की बात कर रहा है
No, so what happened
Bakhtar was
was
nowhere
Zardari
around.
was talking to Benazir at that point of time. He was on the phone with her, and he went on telling Bakhtavar because Bakhtavar, the sister, the girl, was watching the mother on TV.
Yeah.
He told her, "Bahar aane ko bolo, aur bahar aane ko
Because there are
bolo."
crowds outside. So this is what the reporters who were in Islamabad at that time covering Benazir's Indian reporters who were in Islamabad covering Benazir's return to Pakistan, right? Ek to she had a death wish, I think. You know, she had this father fixation that, you know, this
Like the father.
like the father. There are many women politicians who have that. I'm convinced of this. So she came back, and there were many Indian journalists who were in Pakistan to cover that event. They had gone to the location where she was supposed to go, right? And there the talk which all they are saying is this, that the Benazir was inside and Bakhtavar was watching, and Zardari supposed to have told the daughter, tell Benazir to come out. So it was that Toyota vehicle. She came up, and then the shot happens, and she's supposed to have died because of that Toyota hatch ka, that thing that hit her thing.
The
and
back of her head,
Yeah,
yeah.
the back of her head, and she died, which is
Because
quite
there was a bomb
possible.
blast also.
There was a blast. But what was shocking was those of us who were watching it live when it was happening, within minutes, the blood, everything was cleaned out. Who does that? Who cleans out all
The evidence.
evidence? And Musharraf
Joint
did
venture tha.
joint venture. Something is not right, boss. When Pakistan, nobody dies normally, I think, out there. Like nobody
It was
just
a joint
passes
venture
away.
very clearly.
It was a strange country.
It is.
So imagine how scared Bilawal is, boss.
But that doesn't explain
doesn't-
why he's a Paglo wali.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
my
I-
mother
listen.
worked for the peace between India and Pakistan.
His mom wanted war.
What? His mom was the one who said, Jag, Jag, Mo, Mo,
Yeah,
Han,
she
Han.
rebooked Rajiv Gandhi, right?
Initially, remember?
Yeah.
Initially, she worked out the peace deal with Rajiv Gandhi. Then Siachen started, and then she turned.
No. Siachen didn't start then.
Siachen was before.
Siachen happened in 84.
Yeah.
No.
Siachen, Rajiv.
Siachen happened
yeah,
in 84.
India occupied Heights before.
Rajiv
See-
Gandhi met her in 89.
See, Benazir was an apostle of peace. She
Now he's
she-
going
she-
on to
she-
the other. Now he's trolling.
He's
her.
going to
tried
the
to
dark.
bring
she
Yeah.
went
dark
on.
side.
Korea and South
She
Korea
went
by
on. I
smuggling.
think you're all Islamophobic bigots. You want to blame Muslims for, especially a brave Muslim woman. You can't deal with the fact that a brave.
Arey,
Muslim
listen, she
woman-
was no bloody brave woman. Let me tell you a couple of things about her.
It's so
She was the
shocking.
most subservient to the Pakistan army.
No, she was an
She
apostle
and her
of peace,
husband,
and
What
she
was the
stood up
choice,
to the
yaar?
army.
Yeah, that's not the point.
Ha,
The
okay.
point is, unlike Nawaz Sharif,
Ha.
who has taken on the Pakistan army directly, frontally, every time he's come into power.
Yeah.
Not his brother. His brother is a toad. This woman, Benazir, and her husband have been the most subservient as far as the Pakistan army is concerned. They are the most pro-establishment people. Even now, one of the reasons why Bilawal is saying what he's saying is apparently because the Pakistan army is now changing its policy and wants to get back into the
See,
offensive
this is now
mode.
the Punjabi versus
See,
Sindhi
no,
thing.
no,
He
no.
likes Nawaz Sharif.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
No,
And
I don't like Nawaz. Listen, I
See,
don't like
he-
Nawaz
he's
Sharif. What I'm saying is,
Punjabi.
He's Punjabi.
He's Punjabi, so he's going to support the Punjabis. But you see, what he doesn't understand is that Mohtarma Zardari Bhutto and Sahib Zardari, they were so skilled at manipulating the army that you thought they were going along with the army. When in fact they were taking on.
I don't think Benazir
No, I don't
was
think Benazir
manipulating the army at any stage. It
No,
was
no, she
totally,
she was an
But
apostle
subservient.
of peace.
She was totally
And
subservient.
Nawaz
No, no,
Sharif, you know, उसको वहाँ पे गंजा लोहार कहते हैं. Like you remember, Pakistanis have a very low sense of respect for people who look a particular manner in politics. हमारे में it doesn't matter what a person looks like. So Nawaz Sharif was forever trolled for that, though he had.
अरे आप
supposedly
अभी बोल रहे थे मायावती का मजाक उड़ाते थे और फिर इसका मजाक नहीं
I mean,
उड़ाते
that
थे.
is one small minuscule. No, she'll still get elected.
Yeah.
You understood? But anybody who looks like a Mayawati or a Lalu will not get elected in a Pakistan.
But look at this now. This is the land of Gandhi. Look at how Gandhi dressed.
Correct.
And look
Yes.
at Jinnah.
Jinnah.
Just look at the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, they had suited booted politicians all along. हमारे नहीं
Because
थे.
वहाँ पर it's only the elite who enters.
Feudal, correct.
Feudal, elite, big business, they enter politics. Out here, you look at the kind of people. Just look at the prime minister. For God's sake.
but one second, you know, that's all that is very, very.
You look
but
at a guy like
you
Amit
look
Shah.
at the
Look where he has
hypocrisy
come
of-
from.
Look at the
Right?
hypocrisy of our politician. I don't mind them wearing what they do. But for example, Chidambaram, the fellow has, I don't know how many billions of dollars. He will come in a dhoti and a this thing parliament, but when he goes to Davos, he'll be wearing those.
So, but why
you know,
not?
Same with Rahul Gandhi.
नहीं देखो वो
fine.
hypocrisy
That's
नहीं
okay.
है.
How is that hypocrisy?
That's not
No,
hypocrisy.
that's not
Look,
hypocrisy.
one
That's not
second.
hypocrisy.
No, I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you why it's not
आप
hypocrisy.
अगर if you go to your grandparents' house, you'll probably not dress in a suit. You'll wear a whatever kurta pajama if for a certain
Whatever,
reason.
It's
Yeah.
appropriate clothing, but
Clothing,
more than
हाँ.
that.
I have come to my grandparents' house.
But
It's like when
अच्छा अब सुन
हाँ.
देख in India it's also about the image. Now you
Yeah.
go into a
वही कह रहा हूँ ना मैं.
rural
That's what I'm
area.
saying. Image.
Of course, you go into a rural area, you want the people to identify
Associate
with you.
That's democracy. That's democracy.
Yeah, I
101.
just
You have
wanted to
look the
point
part.
out that Anand was actually taking a homophobic jibe at me and how I dress on different fora.
And I
अरे
object
बस
to
कर यार अब तो your homophobic this thing
Achha,
is
now that
as
we're
much of
talking about looks,
Islamophobic.
can we get on to this? You know, this we've discussed before. There used to be these lists on Twitter of Nayan Sukh.
Are you minimizing my lived experiences of victimhood?
So
Yeah,
your
we are.
lived experience
Yes, we
only,
are.
na, victimhood. You were a victim.
Yeah.
You know, Abhijit के बारे में ये है ना that people really love him or hate him. You know, it's very hard because उसका कुछ पता नहीं लगता what he is. And what he speaks, is it a joke?
Are
Is
you
it
saying,
real?
talking about his fluidity or
Not gender fluidity,
or-
but his like where is he joking? Where is he serious? When to take him seriously? It's the same with Anand. कुछ पता नहीं लगता उसका.
But my gender is not fluid.
No,
I
no.
assure you.
Neither is
Not
mine.
that.
But we respect gender fluidity. We all
हाँ.
do.
अच्छा तो ये
आप
बता.
तो
I
मेरे
don't
पापा के
respect gender
समान हो.
fluidity. It is a load of nonsense which has started coming around. ठीक है ना? This
You don't believe in these pronouns and all that.
You don't believe pronouns?
What is they? yaar?
His face
Oh,
gave away the answer.
What is this? They, पता नहीं क्या क्या. How many of them are there now?
नहीं, Sushant is a
53,
father of
64,
two daughters
64.
who are very, very liberated girls. And उनके लिए मतलब liberated in the sense that thought-wise liberated. For them to think, and here he is this conservative.
No,
they क्या
no, but
होता है?
my daughters, both of them, they think that people who have these kind of pronouns are weird. Weirdos.
No,
Acha.
I agree. Being woke is ridiculous. Look, I accept the fact that if somebody wants to be addressed as a she or a particular way, they have a right to say it and you address them that way. But to say that everyone should be addressed as only they or a gender neutral, I think that's, if I'm okay being called a he, which I am, that's fine. And so if I don't want to be called a he, say I think I want to be called a she.
Where is this?
I can put that
where
across.
is
There's
this
a wonderful
gender
I'm allowed to
distinct-
call him Majnu.
You're allowed to call me anything.
There's a wonderful meme where a bike, a man on a bike says, a motorbike that identifies itself as a bicycle has just won Tour de France. It's a bit like that, I suppose.
Yeah,
हाँ.
But if it's not doing harm to anyone,
If it's
Yeah,
not.
kar do, yeah.
what's
No, but
wrong
it
here?
is, no?
It
Now, because very
It's causing
early
serious
in
harm.
life, it's causing
How?
serious
Explain.
trouble
It's
in
causing very
in
serious
the
problems in the US.
In the US, because children very early in age are wondering whether they are he, she, them.
No, they're
same.
actually being indoctrinated.
And then some of them are being indoctrinated. So very early, they want to go in for a sex change and all, because when you're just 6, 7, 8, you're still not sure.
That's not
Some
good.
of them are experimenting. And, it's like, I don't identify as John, I identify as Jane. when they're 6 or 7. When you're 6 or 7,
and they are being allowed to have gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah.
What at 6,
And
7?
nobody's talking about the damage that see, you have to have a certain mental maturity.
I think once you reach
what
18
happens
or
is,
adult age,
if
then
you-
must be
if you
some,
fail to find a partner, it's very easy for you to find fault saying maybe I'm
Maybe
a
it
woman
is that,
trapped in
yeah.
a man's body and I need this thing. Before, what used to happen was, before gender reassignment surgery, you had to undergo rigorous psychological testing, before which it was okay. Do you know Tehran is the gender reassignment capital of the of Asia?
Yeah.
Is it?
More than
I
Bangkok,
was
yeah.
not aware.
really, even I wasn't aware
Because they banned homosexuality, but they were fine with transvestism and cross-dressing, because they're like,
So
okay.
can
so
I
you're
ask you a
actually-
serious question? When did
No.
you know from the beginning?
I think I knew right from as far as I can remember. I didn't know what it was to be gay, but the moment somebody framed ki there is something called gay, I was like, oh, okay. So
Maybe
see,
I-
the first issue was I didn't know what sexual attraction was, and in
No,
those
what
days
I'm saying
we
is,
were really dumb kids.
I'm asking a serious question, science. So, pre-puberty or post-puberty, you knew?
Way post puberty.
Post-puberty.
I think till I was about 16, 17, I didn't know what it was being gay. And then
But you were never
retrospectively.
attracted to another guy at 15, 16?
No, I wasn't attracted till I was 15, 16. But I only used to hang out with the girls before that.
Okay.
Okay, because I
That's
used
something even I would love to do.
to. No, but in those days, you're not even
even we might be gay.
such a Punjabi thing and such a Kameena thing.
पाजी हमें भी चेक कराना पड़ेगा यार, हम भी हो सकते हैं गए.
So sorry, this is so wrong.
No, sorry.
It's
yeah.
homophobia. you
Yeah, it's
see.
homophobia.
I'm so used to this homophobia.
No, I mean, the reason why I asked
that my
is-
experiences are being
See,
minimized.
when you're talking about the Americans
Yeah.
and the woke generation being unsure, that's the reason why I asked. I mean,
Anand-
how long did you take to be?
Anand, let me tell you something.
Now,
For
listen.
example, in our families, and I've seen it in many cases, if there are 2 or 3 girls in the house and there's a small kid, boy kid, वो भी और 2-3 साल का बच्चा है, he also tries to identify himself with his sisters, right?
Right.
And then you suddenly say that, okay, yaar, this guy is probably gender fluid, whatever shit you call it.
Man, ये
And then
कब
you
हुआ?
say, कि यार, इसकी भी gender assignment
See,
कर
the
दूंगा.
issue-
How
no,
stupid
no, no,
is
the
that?
issue
yaar?
here
No,
is
that's
different.
different.
Yeah,
They are
that's very
telling
different.
you to not assign a gender and let
Yeah.
the kids try every
Everything.
gender and see what they
It's like-
fit into.
That's not.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem, blame it on gender. First, they wanted you to blame it on privilege and lack of wealth. Now they want you to blame it on gender. You're stuck in
No,
the
but
wrong
again,
body.
Abhijit, is it
It's-
is what this is happening? Is it statistically significant? I mean, a lot of this is happening, or you just talking
See,
about?
it's to the
It's
point.
woke
Even if
people.
it is 1%, it is statistically significant.
Of course, every life
Because-
is important.
No,
But
no,
what I
no,
meant to
no,
say
no,
was,
but even in
It's a
percentage
new
terms.
new issue which
Can
is
you
coming
imagine
up for
how
moms.
many hundreds of thousands of people we're talking about? Okay, even if you're talking about, say, 0.5% of America, America is what, 360 million people. So 1% is 3.6 million.
That's a
You're
lot.
still looking at about 1.75 million people who are affected by this.
And I am also meeting with, I mean, I've met with
ये
Indian
India में तो
parents.
नहीं है ना अभी ये?
Over,
Yeah.
over हो जाएगा,
शुरू हो
but
गया.
overseas Indian parents
No,
are
Indian parents in
terribly
Delhi.
worried. Yeah, are terribly worried. देखो, Indians in India, नानी के पास भेजो, दादी के पास, 2 थप्पड़ मार के सीधा करे. That's the way that they think. That, one chittar and we'll sort
सब
this
ठीक हो
out. Forget
what's
about
worked for
this.
centuries?
Yeah.
No, in 99% of the cases ठीक भी हो जाते
हाँ,
हैं.
ठीक भी हो जाता है.
So,
मैं
but
ऐसे
I
ठीक
don't
हुआ. My
tell you
mother
something.
denies it now.
नहीं, but-
She used to beat the shit out
You
of
know,
me.
I am a
yaar.
lefty.
No, but I
I
don't.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
writing not like leftist by
Yeah.
ideology, but I
You're
was
not a loony.
my nani made sure that I would start writing with my right hand.
Yeah,
So are
and
you
it
left is the
causes,
devils.
Are you ambidextrous?
but it causes
So am
serious
I.
dissonance, I believe,
Yeah.
which came to know
As
later.
you can see.
But so am I. I can write with both hands.
You can?
Really?
Yeah, but then
Right
that's
sign.
because somebody must have done the same thing
No,
to
no,
you.
no. I used to always write my right, but my parents encouraged me with the left. They said develop
Ulta?
both. They said develop both the sides of your brains.
तो वही तो develop both the sides is basically not accepting the left. I mean, I know
मेरे में right था.
my brother was also a left. When he used to pick up with the left,
are
everybody
devils,
would
basically-
right से खाओ.
basically-
मेरा
right
उल्टा है. मैं right था. My parents said develop both sides, so both sides of your brains will work
okay.
equally.
हमारे
I was
घर में-
right.
Basically, हम लोग सारे right wingers
ये
हैं.
पता है
हम ना
मैं कोई विंगर
हम
नहीं हूँ।
तुम्हारी तरह peasantry
मैं
नहीं
centrist
थे.
हूँ.
हम बहुत elites type थे.
हाँ.
तो we only used to eat with a fork and knife. And when you eat with a fork and knife, your fork, which is the eating hand, is always on your right. So you on your left.
Yeah.
So it was normal to eat
So
with your
much
left
for-
hand.
So much for being elite.
Yeah.
So it was.
Randy,
no.
dosa idli kahan se left fork and knife se
मैं-
खा रहा था
मैं
ये?
fork and knife
ये
से खा
Iyer है. Where was he eating with fork and knife?
मैं तो सेवपुरी चॉपस्टिक से खाता हूँ
You know,
ये तो मैंने देखा था।
मेरा
वाह,
सेवपुरी
वाह,
चॉपस्टिक
वाह।
से खाता
You
येड़ा
can eat
पोने
idli
का
with a
है.
fork and
I
knife.
can't. I don't like my hands getting messy.
Listen, until and unless I eat with my hands,
I can't.
I just can't taste the food.
Yeah,
It's horrible. You can't. I mean,
I can't. I
मैं
can't have my
कहीं-
hands
मैं तो
messy.
कहीं मैं
चपाती
तो
फिर भी
5 स्टार
ठीक
होटल
है,
में भी
but
जाता हूँ ना,
चावल
तब
वावल
भी
हाथ
मैं
से
अपनी
खाना-
plate में
मैं-
लेता हूँ।
Pakistani khana, like the biryani, if you eat it with a spoon, it affects the taste of the
Yeah,
biryani.
it's
In a
just not the
better
same
way.
thing. No.
I think I don't want the germs coming in.
Biryani is destroyed by a fork.
No, but like you can't eat bhatura with a fork and knife.
Yeah,
How
you
do you
can't.
eat
You
bhatura?
Oh,
No
guys,
way.
I got trolled eating biryani.
Oh yeah, that's true. You got that biryani from Tejinder,
Bagga.
right?
How are you
Yeah.
eating it?
With a fork and knife. That was not why I was trolled.
He was trolled because right wing biryani नहीं होते ना. हाँ.
बहुत trolled
Tejinder is BJP and our
अब
man
उसने
is
बेचारे ने मुझे
sympathetic
फोन
to-
किया कहा कि भाई अब दिल्ली में हो मैं बिरयानी बेचता हूँ संडे चीट डे हु एम आई टू से नो टू गुड बिरयानी शेमलेसली ऐसे बटर चिकन भी बेच दो
अच्छी थी।
वन पे ब्रिलियंट
Spicy but nice, you
वेरी
said.
नाइस
तो उसको बोल हमारे को भी भेज दे।
मैं बोलता हूँ अब सुनो
उसको बेचारा ट्रोल हो गया.
मैंने इसका वीडियो बना दिया बिकॉज दैट्स व्हाट आई डू मैं इन्फ्लुएंस करता हूँ मैंने बना दिया आई डिडंट रियलाइज सडनली आई एम मैं गालियाँ आ रही है मतलब मैंने पहले सोचा मैंने कुछ टाइम्स नाउ वगैरह पे कुछ बोल दिया होगा गलत इसलिए लिबरल्स मुझे गाली दे रहे अब पता चला कि गाली खा रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं बिरयानी खाई
And biryani from a BJP guy. So
No, but
that's
tell
why.
me something. It was never like this.
Yeah.
Never.
10, 15 years
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Right? People were very. I remember,
For
I think it was
10-15 नहीं
ये
boss.
नहीं पर
2014
मैं और बात
was
बताऊं, ये
the watershed
लेफ्टिस्ट ने
moment.
किया है दे मॉडल अप
मैं
उनका हेट्रेड ऐसा पहुंच गया है आई हैड अ लॉट ऑफ लेफ्टिस्ट
I
फ्रेंड्स
think it was 98
But the BJP
or something.
is
ruined it.
We'd gone to Pakistan.
अब आ गए
and there were about
बहुत
50
left,
MPs
economically
who had
बात
gone with us, right? Which included virtually later on the who's who, Balram Jhakar, Sushma Swaraj, Meera Kumar, S.M. Krishna, Arif Muhammad Khan. A number of these luminaries were there part of that. बस में जा रहे होते थे for example from Islamabad to Lahore. I think we were traveling in a bus and all these guys ये जितने बड़े बड़े दिग्गज थे पीछे and the Pakistanis were shocked because these guys were from different political parties.
Sure.
And they were having so much of fun with each other.
Yeah.
Talking to each other, laughing, एक दूसरे की टांग खींच रहे हैं. They were shocked because they had never seen politicians from across the aisle, engage with each other in this manner.
नहीं पर पाजी अभी सीताराम येचुरी और नरेंद्र मोदी दे वर लाइक
They do.
कुंभ में बिछड़े हुए
No,
दोस्तों की
but
तरह मिल रहे हैं
politicians do.
Yeah.
What
वही.
is annoying is
Yeah.
that these journalists and hangers on
Yeah.
who become holier than thou take on
And who try and
cudgels.
typecast you in-
Yeah, they take on
Exactly.
cudgels on behalf of their
poli-
boss. The bosses will make up and they will
B. Raja
interact.
and Modi and all those guys were having
Yeah.
a whale of a time.
But that's what politics should be. You must have
I
different
agree.
points.
No,
and
but
then-
why are journalists so divided?
And some journalists feel like spokespersons of
Activists,
parties.
you know.
No, but
Activists.
not only in
Itna
journalists.
gussa
Okay,
hua.
in your family, in my family, it's the same
It-
thing.
that
So
should
we
be-
don't
Yeah,
discuss
because
politics in the
Smita,
house
have you lost
now
a lot of
anymore.
friends since 2014?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, suddenly it's not just lost friends. It's the viciousness of it all.
Yeah.
There are people who actually go and say, I can't be in the same room as this woman. And these are people that, you have traveled with. Your kids have learned swimming with each other. Some of them went to the same schools, same
Are
colleges.
they joking or they see actually?
no, that's
they're
serious.
serious. No, no,
That's
serious.
serious.
Crazy.
Anand, the
Very
trolling I
personal.
went through for eating biryani harmlessly, I have never been trolled so much. And I was wondering why. It is so toxic and it's so scary at a
I'll
point.
tell you, there's this Sachin Pilot ka lunch hota hai every year.
Yeah.
He has this, and he's called journalists all along, and everybody goes for those things across the divide, whatever. He doesn't call politicians. It's only for journalists. Venkaiah Naidu
It's
used
like
to
that
do
White
that.
House
and
thing.
Yeah.
So, no. Regardless of whether he's in power or not, he does this. He gets the cooks from Rajasthan and the food is like, like straight from the village.
How is the
Venkaiah
lal mas?
Naidu does that, and then Huda used to do that.
Yeah,
Does
how
he
is
make-
the lal
does he
mas?
serve lal mas and
And
jangli mas?
Safed Mas.
There he
and-
goes.
I don't
again.
know. I'm the
खाने के बारे में
khas
सोचना.
Oh God.
So I would go for the sag, right?
shit.
So, but the sag is
पैदा क्या हो
delicious.
जाने
How are we friends with her, yeah?
I don't know.
So,
But
acha,
she
so-
serves very
Today,
good
Yeah, she
food.
serves very
lunch,
good
food.
today
Very
lunch
good
we can
food.
eat non-veg, no?
Yes, of
Thank you.
course you can.
Of course, नहीं तो मैं तो यहाँ पर
All
आता
eat
था
whatever
ना.
you want. I'm not judgmental about this thing, but मैं घास फूस खाने जाती थी. So the point is that suddenly they start asking, how's she here?
Oh my God.
Are you serious?
No way.
And these are people, I have been going there, you've been going there, and we've been going there for over 10 years. How come suddenly, how's she here?
My God.
And this is the same thing with,
No,
with the other
whispers
side.
or openly?
No, openly. So, and then they would
Crazy.
they'll collect and they would, and I was like, was I part of this and was I judging other people? It makes me think then that was I at any point of time in that group and was I judging this group? And then I realized there was no groupism before this. Everybody would interact with everybody. There was, pehli baat to, there were very few, we weren't so many journalists because now there's this proliferation, right? But it's the same, it's become so divided. And it's
Why
like
are journalists
families.
so divided?
And they're
And,
nasty.
and journalists don't stand up for each other.
Yeah,
I may not agree with your point of view. As
Yeah.
say, if I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
But the
We
idea
saw
of
that,
defending
we saw
freedom
that when
is
Arnab got arrested.
Yeah. So people actually saying ice cream khate hain. When Arnab got arrested. Yeah, तुमने कभी सोचा है कि you could get arrested too? And so now this cancel culture happens again, right? So उन्होंने cancel किया तो हम cancel करेंगे. Now this is another thing which is happening, which is so annoying. And I keep looking at the BJP guys and saying, for decades you guys got cancelled. And now you're doing the same thing. And their line is, उन्होंने किया तो हम भी करेंगे.
हम भी करेंगे.
So the whole, your...
it doesn't end a cycle.
yeah.
But let me tell you one thing, जितना भी आदमी मना करे, and I always restrain myself, but it becomes increasingly very difficult to keep standing up for these doofers. I do it,
Yeah.
but if I was in politics, if I was in journalism, I actually probably wouldn't. To be very honest,
Wait, like
because
a-
they're so hateful, they are
Yeah.
so vengeful. Still you have to stand for them. So, ये जो बीजेपी वाले कह रहे हैं कि इन्होंने इतना किया हम भी करेंगे, ये retributive thing, ये visceral है, ये आती है, इसको रोकना पड़ता है.
You have to stop.
See, Abhijit, we were talking once, off camera and off the podcast, we were talking about the lit fests. How divided those lit fests have
Totally,
become. And you were saying that, you have these, like he was said, doofus. On the right side too, on the right wing side.
Yeah.
And there, now you have a right wing lit fest and you have a left wing
So-
lit fest.
See, I call it
bizarre.
the rowdy right and a loony left.
But-
और उनके बीच में हम centrist पिसते हैं.
पिसते हैं.
देखो
बहुत
Yeah.
पिसते हैं.
देखो यार तुम centrist हो rightist हो leftist हो, it doesn't make any difference, right? It's a political ideology.
Yeah.
It's what you think. It's how you go and vote. It's how you can have an argument about it. But 2 points. One, if I'm in trouble, I'm not going to go to Modi or to Rahul Gandhi and say, pull me out of trouble, help me out.
Yeah.
I'll come to you, I'll go to him, I'll go to
Yeah.
her, right?
Yeah.
These people have forgotten that, look, friendship and politics are two separate things.
And
Don't
fraternity
mix these
should
things
stand
up.
up for each other.
Exactly.
We must all stand up for each
That's
other.
over among
We
journalists.
have to. And
That's so
some of these
sad.
That's
journalists,
over.
when I see their tweets, I'm not saying anyone in particular, you think they are more loyal than the spokesperson of the party.
But देखो ज़्यादा
And many of them are out of work journalists also.
Yeah.
You look at
The most venomous ones
Are
are
the
the out of work ones.
YouTubers,
and the fact
YouTubers.
checkers.
But
And
you know
YouTube.
what
Shall we go
surprises
ahead?
me? What
In
surprises me?
he has very, very good relations with some of these out
Yeah.
of work journals.
Oh, really?
But listen, I have told you this before. I am very open about those
Yeah, that's
relationships. I will defend them to the teeth.
No, they stood with him also.
Even if
stood
they are
for him.
wrong,
That's
even
true.
if they are wrong, I will defend them because they are my friends. I have always said
agree.
this: friendship over ideology.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I live that.
I agree.
But I
with
live that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
So I get trolled from either side. Ki, oh, she's your friend. Oh, he's your friend. So for example, Abhijit was at my house for dinner once and he was wearing a hijab, right? And then
He came on a date with me in a hijab.
So yeah. So then one of my friends who have known her for 15-20 years, she turns around and, what kind of people do you call to your house? Why? Because she doesn't agree with the idea that he wore a hijab, so it's an insult to Islam. I said he's a free speech absolutist, and मैं कौन होती हूँ उसको जज करने वाले कि वो क्या कपड़े पहन के आ रहा है? तुम साड़ी पहन के आओ, तुम सूट पहन के आओ, am I judging you? You do what you have to. If you get insulted because he's at my house, that's your problem, boss.
Yeah.
So
But what surprises me even more is when you're talking about the Lit Fest. Now, a Lit Fest is supposed to be an intellectual exercise. Yeah. If you're going to say that I'm only going to present one set of views and I'm still a liberal, then I think that's an antithesis of liberalism.
But they're not liberal.
I know.
no side is liberal.
No side is Shazia Ilmi ke saath kya kiya hai?
Sushant,
in
to
that,
be fair,
crazy.
let's
New York,
separate.
was it New York?
Yeah, New
let's
York.
separate these two. Jaipur Lit Fest is very clear that they will not invite anybody from the other side of the aisle.
And who sponsors JLF?
And who sponsors JLF?
Batao.
Very important to go check. it out.
Who sponsors? I don't know.
Z.
I didn't know this.
Z is branded as Sanghi.
Yeah.
So Z is sponsoring JLF.
Pondicherry Lit Fest,
Ye
they
bhi
went
kha
out
lunga.
of their way. They went out of their way to invite people from the left. The first time they invited N. Ram, N. Ram said, no, because of your Hindutvavadi associations, I will not attend. They then pressurized the French consulate in Pondi to cancel giving the venues for the event and things
Horrible.
like that.
Which they did.
Which they did. The French consulate got involved in Indian politics in Pondicherry. And it wasn't for the lack of trying that nobody from the left was invited. The left not only refused to come, they went out of their way to sabotage it.
So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes
So there
when you
is
feel
a
angry,
nuance difference
you have to
between
really
what the left
hold
does
back,
and what the
hold
right
back.
does.
Yeah,
Tell me something.
For example,
he
I
has
stood
written
with
3 novels. His third novel has now come out.
Fourth.
Fourth. Acha. Has he been invited to JLF?
yeah.
Even
That's
if I
what-
am,
उससे-
वैसे मेरे को एक चीज बताओ,
I won't-
उसके नॉवल की सेल्स पे कोई असर पड़ता है JLF में जाने
No,
का?
but it's a question of how they pick people who will go
Yeah,
there.
that I-
It's the same way as
no, but forget about me. My books have been read by people who
Hoi
are very
polloi.
close, and 9-10 people. I say, "Isne padli," so he'll be the 11th man to have read the book. But there are authors who've
cancel culture is a
Jay Sai
complete.
Deepak Kolo, 100,000 books he's sold in 1 year, or his publisher, enormously. Jay Sai, Vikram Sampath, they never called to JLF. Yeah, it's crazy.
Vikram they called this time. But they will always get the one token. And that token one will be subjected to the... You saw how Shazia Ilmi was subjected to attack?
Basically, जब कांग्रेस आएगी ना वापस, तो हम सब जेल में होंगे.
Yo,
100%.
I'll still stand up for you.
Yes, you will.
I
You
will
will get
100%.
Mysore Park to me in Tihar
I
jail.
will
but
100%
कुछ नहीं,
stand up
ED
for you.
होगा.
कुछ नहीं होगा, मैं stand up करता हूँ.
हाँ,
I
but
never
ED हमारे ऊपर क्या करेगा यार? हमारे पास कुछ है ही नहीं हमारे साथ.
ED बोलेगा यार ये क्या कर रहे हैं?
हाँ. नहीं, but what I'm trying to say is that every political party, when in the
no
opposition
one
says,
is.
हम तुम्हारे पीछे आएंगे.
No one is as vindictive as Congress.
I don't think so.
अरे,
Let me frame it
crazy.
differently.
They have taken it to insane lengths.
No.
Insane.
Let me
I don't
frame
think-
it differently.
I'll tell
The
you one
Congress
thing.
knows how to
a
use
High
Let
power.
me
Court
tell
judge
you.
was to be elevated to Supreme Court. On the day he was to be elevated, Indira Gandhi said no. You know the reason?
अभी आप इंदिरा
He
जी की-
attended the funeral of Gowalkar. That was his only crime.
अभी आप इंदिरा जी
ऐसे लोग हैं
अभी आप
यार.
इंदिरा जी
Come
की
on.
बात कर रहे हो.
ऐसे
Recently a high court judge was to be elevated because of his sexual orientation was not elevated.
अच्छा, एक बात बताओ.
No, I don't think it was because of
we
his...
are talking about.
They use this partner as a reason.
No.
They use this partner as a
Tasin,
reason.
please, yeah,
There
come
are,
on.
one second. They use this partner as a reason. There are many heterosexual judges who have partners who are not from Indians.
Tell me something. Why should anybody who claims to be a Hindu be homophobic?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Crazy.
Because in the Hindu cultural kind of a thing, sexual orientation was supposed to be a very natural thing.
Yeah.
It was never held against somebody what this is such a Victorian.
Sushant
and
was a
that's the
natural
beauty of
thing.
India.
Yeah. It was
And
written on our
Hindus never-
temples. It was portrayed on our
Khajuraho,
temples
you
by...
see homoerotic sculptures.
तो
in
अगर
Khajuraho.
होमोइरोटिक ठीक है और अगर वो हिंदू है तो फिर दीपिका के पीछे क्यों पड़े भाई?
पता नहीं
हाँ, पता नहीं क्यों।
यार Abrahamization हुई है ना कि Victorian culture has
Victorianization
been
has happened.
See,
more.
before, when you hit puberty, you were shown these temple things and saying, बच्चे, ये सब होता है, ये सब सीख लो.
तू भी तो क्लिप बना, तूने भी तो दिखा रहा था लोगों
हाँ.
को.
हाँ, और
हमारी
मरवाया
knowledge बढ़ा रहा था तू भी तो.
Now the thing is,
You were a guru for us.
today, when they go look at it, I noticed this when my infamous clip happened. That is when it struck me. They were going there, looking at it, going, इसमें में ये क्या बात है बेटा?
We've actually become more Victorian now.
Yeah.
We
Of
become
course.
Victorians.
And we were such an open. Where did the Kama Sutra come from? Which land originated the Kama Sutra? It's from this land. I don't know why we become such prudes. And to troll Deepika, but Deepika is not just on bigotry, it's also on controlling women's clothings.
No, but
It is.
let's be honest here.
But it's
Bollywood
such
is
a-
being
It
trolled because it is a fact.
Look,
For
Bollywood-
decades they've
Bollywood
been so
has brought
selectively
this on
anti-Hindu.
themselves.
It does. One second.
Selectively
One
anti-Hindu.
second.
Bollywood
I don't
brought
have
this down
any
on
data to
themselves,
show
basically.
that.
Yeah.
But
Here we-
Anand, even if I
But
was to
even
take you,
anti-Christian now, all the villains were Michael and
Michael,
वो सब-
Robert,
Not
क्या था
all,
वो?
यार.
Not all. Only Robert.
कभी कभी होता था जब वो अपने स्मगलिंग वाला दिखाना होता था तो वो
एक ही
दिखा
साउथ
देते थे.
इंडियन
Green eyes
विलन था
वाला।
शेट्टी,
हाँ,
एक ही
Shetty.
साउथ
They would
इंडियन
mock-
विलन,
they would
नहीं तो
mock-
कोई साउथ इंडियन विलन कभी होता नहीं था.
They
This-
would mock Punjabi, but they would mock Parsis. But see,
वैसे मैं
I
कुछ
think that's
बोलने वाला था
creative
अभी बट
liberty,
मेरे को
यार.
ये लग रहा है कि अगर मैंने बोल दिया यहाँ
बोल
पर
दो
तो
ना.
They would
नहीं
never-
नहीं, क्या-
कोई केस कर देगा बाद
Anand, I
में कोई
agree
इस
with the
टाइप का. बाद
point.
में
Someone
बताऊंगा.
may not like Shah Rukh. They may not like Deepika. I agree with that point. And you have a right to agree. You even have a right to say, look, I don't want to watch this movie. When an ex-CBI director trolls Deepika, puts her pictures and says, why is her husband allowing her to be molested? I think that's crossing a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not acceptable.
Correct.
Okay.
When the state, when the home minister, whose job is to defend liberty, he's not a super censor, comes down and says, I will ban this movie under no authority. Your personal opinion, Anand does not like the movie, Sushant likes it, that's fine. Give your opinion on Twitter. You can't troll people. The home
You
minister
don't like
can't
a
be
movie,
rogue.
don't go and see
Don't
it.
watch
Don't
it.
see it,
Don't
yeah.
like a book, don't. You don't like this podcast, don't watch it.
Yeah.
But don't say, I will burn down ANI because I don't like it.
Correct.
That is unacceptable.
I agree.
And
Agree.
we all have to stand up for this. And a home
Why
minister
are you
doing
in
it.
Congress? Your views are so against what the Congress philosophy is.
But
Why?
actually,
इसीलिए मैंने इससे शादी की.
Hi. Reception पे नहीं
But
बुलाया
what do you
लेकिन.
have to say about
कंजूसों?
Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan going to Calcutta and talking about liberties? Why couldn't they talk about it in Bombay, in Mumbai?
It's like people going to the old Soviet Union or going to Beijing and talking about democracy.
Democracy. Why in Calcutta? Why couldn't, because both of them are from Bombay,
No,
why
there's
couldn't they
film
talk
festival
there?
there, no?
हाँ तो film festival बाकी जगह भी तो होता है तो जान के तुम वहाँ
But
जाके
बेचारों ने
and then to
बोला क्या?
pretend that it's not political in nature.
But बोला क्या इतना कम बोला उसमें भी.
हाँ तो वो they were reading out
No, but see,
both
look,
of them.
I think let's get to.
नहीं अगर बोला भी तो क्या फर्क
कुछ नहीं,
पड़ेगा?
बोलना चाहिए.
I don't have a
Right to
problem.
say.
Let's be
बिल्कुल
honest
बोलना
about
चाहिए.
what's
No problem
happening here. Basically, somebody decided that Deepika needed to be given comeuppance for what she did during those JNU protests. Okay, so they found some reason to go after her.
And ever since then, she spoke about mental health, and any time she talks, इसको क्या problem है mental health के लिए? The presumption that a good-looking person or a successful person
Will not have mental
will
health
not have
issues.
mental health issues. So they just
but have
go
you seen
after
that
her.
song?
But remember,
It's, I don't want to use the word vulgar ever because what is vulgar
That's your
is subjective.
choice,
What is vulgar?
yaar.
Yeah, it's subjective.
Huh.
But it's very off-putting. The kind
It
of
is.
I
gyrate-
like
it's
the song. I think Deepika looks
I don't-
gorgeous. I think
But
Shah
I
Rukh
have to
looks
say
hot.
this.
But
Yeah,
now
after-
I find it
Anand.
off-putting, but when I was 18, I probably would have used that song.
But I think Shah Rukh looks super
He would
hot.
have used the song.
And so
Excuse
does
me.
Deepika.
I
And
would,
the song
I would
for what?
expand on that.
What would you use the
but
song
look,
for?
At 25, I don't like. I didn't think anything much of the song, right?
Yeah.
So between 18 and 25, इतना तो फर्क नहीं होता.
I agree.
सुन रहे हो?
But Sushant
बात को घुमा घुमा
It's
के-
like
Sushant is always
tip
young.
tip. Now they're saying tip tip barsa pani was also vulgar.
No, come on.
Come on.
कौन कह रहा है? बताओ लाओ मेरे सामने लाओ उसको.
Which one do you like?
Now,
The
see,
Ravina
his
one or the
Punjabi-
Katrina one?
see,
Which one do you
I
like?
am
The
a
Ravina
Punjabi
one
or a
the
wannabe
Katrina?
Do you guys remember the Liril ad which started off the film?
Do you remember the
And
Godrej
Ram Teri
Synthol ad?
Gagga Maili.
No, chi, I didn't like
Ram Teri
that.
Gagga
I didn't like that, but the
because
little
my
ad was
mother
covered
really
by
liked
like
it.
really
I was not allowed to see it.
Yeah, so I was
I didn't
watching
go to
like
see
this.
Ram
Ram Teri Ganga Maili.
I've not seen Satyam Shivam Sundaram and I've not seen Ram Teri Ganga Maili.
Okay.
Have you seen Sagar? And
Yeah,
that
oh.
microsecond
Sagar is such an
scene.
awesome-
And that
Sagar
microsecond.
was-
What
The
song?
songs were
Dimple
amazing.
Kapadia.
Yeah, songs
Oof.
in, yeah.
You can't beat that lady.
सागर
She was
जैसी
so
आंखों
hot.
वाली
Yeah.
ये तो
Dimple.
बता तेरा नाम है
एक Sagar, I think, ruined romance for a whole lot of women because they could never get that. Of course, Kamal Hassan is not really hot, but they, you know that.
But
but
it was
that
Rishi
thing-
Kapoor, no?
What?
Yeah, Rishi
Yeah,
Kapoor
Rishi
and
Kapoor
Kamala
and
Hassan.
Kamala
Sagar
Hassan,
is Kamala Hassan and
Rishi Kapoor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rishi Kapoor.
With Dimple.
So that the second one is Silsila. सिलसिला का जो रोमांस
Again,
है भाई,
songs.
the illegitimate romance of Silsila is something that you could never get in life, na? So then what?
But वो गाने भी क्या
Oof,
गाने थे you can
बाप रे.
hear those songs now
That chemistry
Yeah.
between Amitabh and Rekha, I think my generation at least.
No, that It was a good film.
But
also.
it
It was a very, very
it
well
bombed
made
at the
film.
box office. People
No,
didn't like
Silsila
it.
didn't.
People have no
Yeah.
taste.
Silsila was a
But
flop.
imagine
it
to
went
see-
against social
Yeah,
mores.
of course.
Rang
Rang
Barse.
Barse.
Rang
How
Barse
can
was in
you,
Silsila.
yaar?
What songs?
No, but the movie bombed because it went against social mores.
Yeah.
Do you know Mera Naam Joker also?
Just like Lamhe
Yeah.
bombed. because-
Lamhe bomb.
Lamhe.
Yeah, that. But
Lame was weird.
Sridevi and
bizarre.
Anil Kapoor, yeah.
But it bombed because of that particular reason.
Yeah, that, it was too ahead of its times. Lamhe and even Silsila. But imagine for Jaya Bachchan, like she's trolled so
The
much in
casting was
social media.
unbelievable. I mean, how
Yash
did
Chopra,
how
right?
did
Yash
all
Chopra.
three of them
Yash
agree to
Chopra.
it?
Yash
What is
Chopra.
How did
Jaya
they
Bachchan
agree to
trolled
it?
for?
Oh, because she doesn't like the
Paparazzi.
paparazzi. Come on, you have to YouTube and see the way she is trolled.
I know she deals with
Yeah.
anybody
She-
trying to take a selfie with her, she'll snatch
Not
their
just,
She
phone,
said,
in the
fall.
past.
I hope you fall or
the
something like
paps.
that. She said to a pap. वो बेचारा अपना काम कर रहा है. But I believe there is a history to that photographer
Yeah.
or the photographer who belongs to a
How
certain
do you deal
thing.
with paparazzi?
I have no paparazzi, but I am quite fascinated when I travel with.
How do you deal with paparazzi?
He embraces them.
I don't
She
have
embraces them.
paparazzi.
Oh, God, such a bland answer. I was expecting.
No, but
Have you ever seen me on page 3?
Thank God. for
But you
that.
have to see. I mean, paparazzi was never there for journalists.
But you bring up
It
an
was there
important
for-
point. I'm not on page 3 because of my horizontal expanse. So basically, there is a.
There are a lot of people on page 3 who, because of their horizontal expanse, because if you are on page 3 if you pay money.
Huh.
It's as simple as
No,
that.
they're not there.
If you look at the kind of people-
I think I'm being
I
victimized
lost
by the paparazzi
body
being
shaming. I
horizontally for body shaming
body
But
shaming.
and homophobia.
I'm sure
I
people
lost
come to
all
you
respect for
asking
page
for,
3 by looking at the kind of people who
selfies,
appear
है
on
ना?
it.
He gets a
You know
lot.
the We've best- all got it at the mall.
ugliness
The
quotient
best-
of page
no,
3
no, no,
is among the
Sushant,
highest.
wrong.
Remember that dog
Wrong.
walked up to us at the
The
mall?
ugliness quotient in Madras page 3 is the worst.
But you know what's the
Madras page 3. Oh God.
This is,
there will be
this
guys
is borderline
wearing
racist. I am
horrible
not a part of this
t-shirts.
conversation. I
Opened
don't
right up to here with all that
don't
bushy
want to-
hair.
The
showing
Gurgaon
out.
page 3 is just as bad.
I have lost
Gurgaon page 3, yaar. Come on.
Noida page 3.
There is no Gurgaon page 3.
Yeah.
I
There is
swear
no-
there's a
No,
Gurgaon
no,
page
there's no
3. And the
Gurgaon
most
page
ugly
3.
people come on it.
I
Oh
yaar.
no,
not
no.
even
That's
forget
not
part
all.
of this.
There's camellias and there's magnolias. And
अरे भाई page 3
And you know,
पे
the worst part is
Abbe-
camellias and magnolias and aralias are so badly built.
Are you mad? They're really awesome.
Yeah, they're
awful.
30-40 crore
Yeah,
ke
पता नहीं-
Yeah,
flats.
just because they're 30-40
No,
crore
no,
does
no, no,
not
they're
mean
awesome, they're
No,
awesome.
no, they're not. They
What
are
are you talking
so
about?
badly planned in terms of space
Okay,
management.
I have to tell
and
you this
everything.
gossip of this one of these camellias, magnolia, whatever, one of
Promoter.
these fancy ones.
Priyanka
So
Gandhi stays
somebody I know,
Tehseen?
तो उन्होंने क्या किया? अब Patel Nagar. Now Patel Nagar is like saying Ghatkopar, okay, Tehseen, or saying whatever, Vashi. Huh? So if you say that you live there, it's like a little low down.
पटेल
So-
नगर ऐसा नहीं है लो डाउन
Worst is
हाँ
West
तो ये
Patel
छोड़ दो
देखो,
तुम्हारे को
सुन
पता
लो
ही नहीं
जरा,
है
सुन लो।
चल यार,
भाई वेस्ट दिल्ली के
Very
हॉट
पंजू।
स्टार्स
हाँ,
रहते हैं
West
वहाँ पर
Delhi के
हाँ,
hot
कैसी
stars.
बात कर रहे हो
So West
Patel
Delhi.
Nagar, maybe West Patel Nagar is even worse.
It's like vast Delhi के.
Yeah.
Vast Delhi के पंजाबी रहते हैं वहाँ पे, right? So they sold their house and they moved
You
to
can never keep up with their fashion.
Passan. So they go to one of these camellias and all that.
They
and
went to
take-
camellias. There's a huge fight that's broken out between Magnolia and Camellia.
Okay.
Because the Camellia walas have all been West Delhi types
Huh.
who didn't want the Magnolia ones coming in using their club.
Okay.
And what's happened in Magnolia is they don't want the West Delhi types coming into Magnolia at all for anything.
Because
they
they
come
koi
and
South
they
Korean,
put their undies out on the
CEO
balcony to dry and things like that.
This podcast is going to be a blockbuster.
So it's that. It's the same thing which 20 years ago probably Singapore had when, when they decided, or maybe 30 years ago, that X number of people of Indian origin, X number of Malays, X number of Chinese. That is how they decide on their housing policy. अब यहाँ पे तो कुछ ऐसे है नहीं, right?
जिसके पास पैसा है, उसको मिल
जिसके
जाएगा।
पास like पैसा तो पीर है यहाँ पे. So they moved there and now how do you, you have a certain way of doing things, right? Like suddenly you're going into the thing and your maids are entering, the service are entering and they are carrying Big Bazaar ke
Bags.
वहाँ पे no, not Big Bazaar. It is from what?
Food mall, food hall.
Food hall ke
Yeah.
bags हैं. You're buying your grocery from food hall. So these things cause trouble. in these sophisticated areas.
Jorbag is so lower upper classy. So you know, lower
Upper classy is Jorbag.
upper classy is Prithviraj Road.
Okay.
ठीक है.
Tehsil, is this alien to you or not alien?
Middle upper classy
I
is
am completely
middle upper
lost.
classy is Sundarnagar and golf links. Lower upper classy is Jorbag.
तो हम लोग तो कहाँ पर रहते हैं? हम
बेचारे-
जेजे कॉलोनी में रहते हैं.
बस जैसे ही क्लास पता चल जाएगी बता देंगे.
मैं तो हमेशा क्लेम करता हूँ कि हम सब लोअर मिडिल क्लास हैं.
जेजे कॉलोनी.
And then those are the
मैं तो
people
फकीर आदमी हूँ.
who did not want a metro to come up
didn't
near.
want-
Yeah, they didn't want a metro. They didn't want a metro to come up near their colony because, you know, then the hoi polloi comes in there.
Yeah.
Then you cannot control the kind of, you know, the genteel crowd that you have right now. So you will get the unwashed masses coming. So they didn't want a metro station. ऐसे भी होते हैं लोग.
एक तो हमारे देश में लोगों को एंटाइटल्ड और इलीट के बीच में डिफरेंस नहीं पता.
Yeah.
हाँ.
Yeah.
मतलब दे डिराइड elitism,
Yeah.
which is completely wrong.
Okay, explain now, please.
Yeah.
He's right.
Elite is someone who's who's come up, who's meritorious, who excels in his or her field, who's absolutely professional, articulate, gentlemanly, gentlewomanly, or
Not
whatever you
necessarily
call it.
gentlemanly.
I mean,
elite would be a Elon Musk,
for
right?
For
He
example,
would be elite.
No, Ambedkar is an elite.
Yeah, Ambedkar
Sardar
too.
Patel is an elite.
Yeah.
Nehru is entitled.
No.
I did it just to provoke
No,
him.
that's not
But
true.
Rahul Gandhi is entitled. Okay.
Bilawal is entitled.
Bilawal is entitled.
Yeah.
For example, Dawood Ibrahim. Would you call him elite? The fellow has more money than any Indian politician you can think of. No, it's not to do with money. It's to do with what you do. You know, your professionalism.
Yeah, money
your
is
expertise.
fungible.
You know,
अपने profession में तो
Indian should understand this better than everybody because we've
पर
got
राइट
words for
विंग
this.
का ये स्पेशली
करम
वो
और
है.
कर्ता.
हर आदमी को
एक
elite
कर्ता
elite
से
कर
बनता
दिया.
है, एक कर्म से बनता है.
Yeah, very true.
This is now this horror of my childhood coming करता ने कर्म को करण से संपदान के लिए अपादान से अलग
ये मैंने भी
संबंध
सुना
का
हुआ
के
है. हाँ,
गिरारे
क्लास में मेरे लिए बहुत नाइटमेयर होता था.
It was nightmarish to remember this. You know, I would like, it's like the certain things of your childhood are traumatic. Like Pythagoras theorem is traumatic
No,
for me.
Pythagoras was very easy. For me, it was
Yeah.
the pulling striling.
This
And
is
the-
the, yes,
ये अब-
South
अब ये
Indian-
वापस-
आगे
आगे-
वापस-
आगे-
And also the antonym synonym. Surya, Suraj, Bhaskar, Dinkar, Divakar.
Yeah.
I'm like, मैं क्यों use करूँ ये सब? I'm just, if I wanted to say sun, I would just say sun.
Yeah, pani is neer ambu toye
Neer,
vari.
हाँ, something.
See,
something,
it just
something.
comes tadak se like that, you know.
I could never do that.
Yes, there are certain things of your childhood. Like I was talking to Monica Hallan. She's written this book on finance and about how women should take
Be
up,
financially,
be not just financially independent to understand how to manage your finances.
Finances, yeah.
Most women don't, right? Like
don't.
your mom wouldn't do it. Your
My mom
sister
does it
wouldn't do
very well, but
okay,
yeah.
your mom does.
But
okay.
I also lost my father very early.
Okay. So
My-
most women don't do it, and it's not of a certain vintage.
Yeah.
Most women would either hand it over to their fathers or hand it over to their brothers or spouses when they are able to do it. Aap sambhalo. You know, you do it. And flatter your father or flatter the whoever is the paternal head in your family to say ki you I trust you completely. God forbid a situation comes where you realize that you're at odds with them. You're finished.
Yeah.
Right? So I was telling her, I said, I am guilty of that. I cannot think finances. And most women don't. We are not equipped to handle that. हम लोग Pythagoras theorem रट्टा कर
No,
लेंगे.
equipped की बात नहीं है. You see, the way you are brought up, number one, within the family.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, in your school system also.
No, nobody
teaches you any of this.
And I think that's important. But I'll tell you, I'll give Rahul Gandhi credit for one thing, for all the trolling that you do for Rahul Gandhi. This is true. When the direct benefit transfer scheme started, the pilot project, they were working out various things. He insisted that the money go directly into the account of the women. And what the study then showed was women spent more on nutrition, but the men would spend on alcohol. So nutritious food was actually, women would spend on the right choices that would help the family grow and would bring in prosperity. Men would squander that money. And that's a survey, that's a government survey by the UP. And that's when now DBT has become so big and Prime Minister Modi takes credit. That was something that he insisted on. Even all these self-help groups.
But Modi was doing this even as Chief Minister of Gujarat.
Yeah,
so
but,
there was
but
a
you know
lot
that
happening there
Modi
too.
had opposed DBT through Aadhaar. He was opposing Aadhaar.
तुम एक if you pick up one
ये बीच में side में लाना
बीच
है।
में
तुम राहुल गांधी को ट्रोल करोगे मैं छोड़ूंगा.
He was waiting for his. No, but tell me, is
Tessie,
Raghuram
Tessie.
Rajan
I
joining
think-
the Congress formally?
But even if he does and he gives up his whatever, if he
Unemployment.
No, I don't think he's unemployed. I don't think he's unemployed. I think he's lecturing in 2 universities, right?
कुछ
He
है.
is. But I think if he does come in, I think it's great for the country. You need more professionals.
And optics wise, I think him
I think
in
he's
Bharat
great.
Jodo was like doing good, right?
I think it was fabulous.
And
I think the BJP made a mistake attacking him.
I know you find him
Though-
hot. I can't. I
He
don't
used
find
to
him
be hot. Now he's not.
No, but Shobha
But
Knight
there was-
finds him.
Yeah.
Who finds him?
Shobha Knight.
Shobha Knight.
What
Shobha
are you saying?
Knight.
Oh, sorry,
Shobha-
Shobha Day. Sorry.
What
Oh,
are you
I thought
saying?
he's that Manoj Knight Shyamalan wala. He's making a mistake. So Shobha Day, and of course, a whole bunch of people when he was in that list, if you remember, the Nayan Sukh list, that there was this whole thing that the anti-writers. I'm not going to say left wing because some of them are not. Like Shashi Tharoor, Omar Abdullah, Raghuram Rajan.
Let's
Good-looking
critique
guys.
this list.
Let's critique the list.
I don't find, in my expert homosexual opinion,
Any of them.
of lusting after men, I can tell you I do not find Shashi Tharoor hot.
How can you decide on men who are hot? You're
my,
on the
my
other
opinion,
side.
why are you minimizing my lived experiences? You're carrying out verbal genocide. You're carrying out
फिर शुरू हो
verbal
गया, अच्छा।
homophobic genocide.
Any of these guys whom you don't find hot, I'm sure they'll be very relieved with it.
Yes, I'm sure they will. Omar
but if
Abdullah,
you-
his only selling point is that he's fair. And in this country, I have a huge objection कि जो गोरा होता है वो अच्छा
और
देखने में
अंग्रेजी
अच्छा
अच्छा बोलता है.
हाँ, अंग्रेजी अच्छा बोलता है. Okay.
तीसरा
Raghuram
कौन था? Kapil
Rajan.
Sibal. Who were the
Kapil
third?
Raghuram Rajan, I'm willing to accept that some people might find him hot.
Because he's that
My
nerdy
issue
way.
is growing up in the Agraharam in in a Madrasi Agraharam in Mylapore.
There were
that
20,000.
typical tambram is something I avoid like the plague.
Correct.
ठीक है ना?
I'm
It's
sure
like
he's
the
also
same.
glad
I'm sure he's
that this
also
account
glad.
is debited,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
credited.
This Agraharam thing, there's, growing up in South Indian households, there's a different concept of good looks.
Correct.
And if you're like a South Indian in the north, there's this whole conflict that comes in your
Correct.
mind because who
Is
who
good
do you-
looking, yeah.
So I remember going once, and we were sitting in this, all cousins and aunts and uncles and saying, oh na, ಎಷ್ಟು good looking. That guy, he's so good looking. Kamala Hassan, haage kanta nahi. He looks just like Kamala Hassan. I was like, what? Like good looking and Kamala Hassan, like, how? And so then this guy comes with this thick mustache and, like that curly hair. And everybody found him good looking.
Ranjit.
It's like, kahan se good looking hua ye? So it's this whole thing. So Raghuram Rajan would be like, Mylapore Brahmins will not find him good looking. But then the others do.
Okay, now let's put you in the spotlight. Tell a male politician you find good looking. Really good.
No,
Come on, come on, come on.
No, bata. बोलना पड़ेगा.
You are moving our poll. You have to open your poll. Podcast में your poll.
Oh God, I don't find anybody good
ऐसे थोड़ी
looking.
होता. You're not some.
No, I find
नहीं, नहीं.
only George Clooney good looking. Sorry.
This is politically correct answer.
This is
Indian politician you find good looking,
I don't.
charming.
Charming several.
हाँ, so charming.
Charming, so there are several
Kaun?
people who are charming. When they talk, they're very charming. I would, like, top of my head, I would say that Javeer Shergill is very charming. While
But he's
talking
from the
to
Congress,
Tehseen-
no?
Tehseen- तो क्या वो
Javeer, not
politician नहीं हुआ
वो
क्या?
वो बेचारा अब
यही
चला
बता
गया. वो बेचारा अब बीजेपी में चला
I
गया.
really respect him. मतलब उसने अपनी tweets delete नहीं
Ramakrishna
करी.
Hegde
मैं-
used to be very charming. He was very charming to talk to.
Ramakrishna
Yeah,
Hegde was
very
super charming. He's a really nice guy.
SM Krishna was very charming.
The guy who read the Portuguese.
No,
speech.
but that was in his old age.
And I know you
But he
people will
was.
laugh, but I think Amit Shah is very charming. He is.
He's got a very affable kind of.
Yeah, so people may not like it. Amit Shah, he's very well read. He talks so much gyan. Modi, even as chief minister, was very charming. He could talk to you about Singapore politics. He could talk about America,
And amongst
Japan.
the contemporary
Rahul,
younger
you
politicians.
haven't mentioned Rahul.
No, amongst the younger politicians.
No, but
I'm
I
asking,
have met
younger
Rahul,
politicians.
and I found it irritating at one point of time. The first time I met Rahul Gandhi was that there were these bunch of journos. We had been invited. This was 2012, I think. Elections, UP elections, maybe. I can't get the date the year
Yeah,
correct.
they were UP
They were
elections.
UP elections. Okay, so Akhilesh was chief minister candidate or whatever at that time. Baat chal rahi thi that he could be. So we were a bunch of journos, and he was talking like the larger picture, and then some very pertinent questions were asked that you keep talking about. New blood should come in, youngsters should come in, and actually Javeer and all were one of those, and probably you also, the lateral entries, young people who didn't come from families who were congressmen and all. So he had this idea at that time, and at that time some of the questions asked were, "वो तो सब ठीक है, but people around you are all these Raja Maharajaon ke bacche, and why aren't you part of the Manmohan Singh government?" Nothing he could talk. So he would keep giving goal-matol answers. And I was like, ये तो पूरा think tank वाला answers he's giving. He's not
Think
getting
tank वाले
to the
ऐसे तो
point.
नहीं देते. Think tank वाले अच्छे answer देते हैं.
Think
He's
tank
not
वाले-
charming, he's harming, Rahul Gandhi.
No, he's not. He's not charming at all. And
अच्छा,
I
मतलब
met
younger
him-
politicians.
You know what they say, the road to hell is
Javeer
paved
हो
with
गया
good
और बताओ.
intentions.
तू है.
हाँ, you know.
क्या? Sorry, what was the question?
Charming.
Charming.
Shehzad is also charming. He also speaks very nicely. There are several.
He's politically very suave. Javeer and Shehzad, politically very suave.
Yeah, but they are always polite. They're not nasty.
Very. No,
And-
but this
But-
actually has
but,
endeared me to Tehseen. He may say the nastiest thing about Modi, Shah and all, but he
But
will
प्यार
say
से
it
बोलता
so
है.
politely that गुस्सा
that's
आए
also
किसी को
ही तो
गुस्सा आ
चाहिए ना.
नहीं.
But
Amit
that's
Shah
democracy,
ji,
see.
Modi ji,
But
he'll always.
democracy, you have
Modi
to
ji is the
criticize.
most corrupt person I've ever met. Amit Shah
Nee,
ji
nee.
is a criminal.
No, I don't say criminal.
Whatever
I
it
say,
is.
are-
Amit Shah ji has a spine of a molten eclair. Because he's not tough on many
But
issues.
see, I'll tell you, there was this one incident
you
of a
mastered
journalist.
the art of.
You must criticize.
Yeah.
See, I'll tell you what I
Arun
have a
Jaitley
problem.
was very
Arun
genial,
Jaitley.
right? People across the political
Sushma ji.
divide. Sushma ji was. But
See, that was a different generation
They're
of
different.
politicians who were all
But you look at
without
other
exception.
Congress spokesmen, they're so rude and crude. My God.
You see the
that Khera guy, and there's so many others.
But again,
they should learn
Pawan
something
on,
from you. Yeah.
Off camera is very genial, very gentle, speaks very well, and there are many others I can name across the political divide.
But Congress spokespersons across, in the past, Vittal Rao Gadgil, Ghulam Nabi Azad. I don't like Ghulam Nabi Azad, okay, personally. But the intellect, the depth that they had, the way Rajesh Pilot.
Yeah.
जिस
Rajesh Pilot
जिस
was a
अदब से वो
lovely
बात
human
करते थे,
being.
जिस लहजीज से बात करते, जिस तहजीब से बात करते थे, वो आलोचना करनी चाहिए. That is how you should criticize. Vajpayee ji, you must. Criticism is what
Advani
makes...
ji also.
I remember once Rajesh Pilot was answering some questions to do with some debate on, I think it was, उन दिनों में बस NDTV होता था, which used to come as Star News. And some guy called up and asked him something very rudely. He replied so politely and sweetly and gently, no entitlement, no nothing. He's a self-made man. No?
Who?
Rajesh Pilot.
I
I think Rajesh Pilot was one of those people I still remember as being one of the... Even Indira Gandhi.
Even Sachin,
I think
so
Indira
polite.
Gandhi people used to forget. क्या होता था?
No,
जब
she
हम-
had very strong likes and dislikes. Indira Gandhi,
Maybe,
if she
but-
didn't like a certain journalist, वो तो मतलब
ठीक है,
खत्म.
but
हलाल छोड़ो,
my
झटका finish.
memory of Indira Gandhi on 2-3 Republic Days was Republic Day में वो हमेशा
अरे-
के बच्चों के साथ बैठती थी and you could just talk to her.
No, but that you're wait. You were a civil servant's child.
Daughter. You totally got it correct. Yes.
Civil servant daughter. You had pride of place in that little thing, and also Republic Day. Remember, she started owning Republic Day. Republic Day was not meant for prime ministers. It was meant for president and army. The Forge. She, after 1971, decided ki bhai, this is something that I will own. So she started coming in the jeep, and there was a role henceforth for prime ministers of India at Republic Day. Otherwise, till then, there was no role for prime ministers on Republic Day. She was like, 71 war, I'm owning this and I will have a place. So, let's not go into Mrs. Gandhi and things like that. And
पर
also,
मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? मैं बोल रहा हूँ house
तुम लुटियंस के थे भाई, admit it.
ये मेरा गलती है.
नहीं, गलती नहीं है. So
ये तो बड़ा
when you
privilege
make a
है,
judgment
entitlement
of when you make a judgment of, similarly when he says that
You are elite
name the
as well as
politician,
entitled.
Yeah, he's
and then
both.
I'm
Those rare
naming,
breeds.
He's both.
I'm naming Advani ji or Vajpayee ji. Also realize I have reached their seniority when they are probably polite to me, nice to me. I don't know whether they were with the younger lot who were getting into politics, maybe they got a rough treatment by them. I don't know. Sometimes these senior politicians don't do it janke. The others are doing it for them. They're underlings, which is the worst thing. Those gatekeepers to politicians are the worst people ever. They are the
Gatekeepers are the
rude
most
guys.
insecure people.
Yeah.
They derived their power from that.
It's the way you choose a Rottweiler to guard your house. You can either go for a golden retriever or Rottweiler. Golden retriever won't guard your house. The Rottweiler will guard your house, chaba डालेगा.
Let's move forward. कुछ अच्छा G20 के बारे में बताओ. What do you guys think about G20 that's coming up? Because there's a lot of criticism by many people that this is turning out to be a G20 is basically talk shop, that no big things get solved, that there's too much of emphasis on tamash bean things which are happening. So one by one, what do you think, since you are from a think tank?
मैं भी think tank.
Sushant.
Why do you only...
हाँ, एक करके करेंगे ना.
Look, I think there has been some dilution in what the G20 was all about. Okay, at the time it came in, these are the 20 most powerful economies of the world. They are supposed to actually set the agenda. It's not just the G7, which is like the elite of the elite. It's the next big guys, right? So nothing wrong in the concept. It's got diluted because a lot of things have got added on. It was basically to manage the global economy. But then you've added on a whole lot of other stuff onto G20. But other than that, purely from an Indian point of view, now that we have the presidency, I think we should milk it for whatever it's worth.
I agree.
And I don't see any reason why we should not. For example, if the government, and I think the government has the right ideas, if they are planning 20 or 200 cities or...
Yeah, 35 cities, if I'm not mistaken, in to have these
So you
events.
showcase the country. So there are a lot of positives that can come out of this 1 year, that, you are getting so many people from across even at the airport when I was coming the other day, they have a separate counter now for anybody who's traveling, which means that there must be a lot of traffic
For delegates,
delegates for the G20.
What do you think?
So I think it's a good thing.
Anand?
I mean, I agree with him, but मुझे एक चीज की दुख भी होते है, because at the end of the day, I mean, it'll bring out a limited amount of things that are positive. India's contribution to the world. India is now a big player and all that. लेकिन मुझे हमेशा दुख इस बात का होता है कि वर्ल्ड के साथ जो हम कर रहे हैं वो तो कर रहे हैं, उसमें world has to interact with us, so it's not a one-way process, लेकिन जो हम internally कर सकते थे, वो हम नहीं कर रहे हैं. So we will remain poor. So, like for example, agricultural reforms, farm laws.
Okay, you're talking about prioritizing.
तो अंदर का जो हम restructuring हमें करनी चाहिए, जिससे we can catapult ourselves to a middle-income economy from earning $2,500 GDP per capita to 15,000 maybe. China is what, 12,000, 13,000? We can do it in 10-15 years. We could have done it.
We lost these 8 years. We lost these 8 years.
Because of Congress, because of opposition, because of तहसीन इससे नहीं, let me finish, because इसमें politics मत लाओ. Because I'm yet to finish.
Anand, there's only so much.
You will after I'm done.
Okay.
There's only so much you can blame somebody's spinelessness on somebody else.
Of course.
Okay.
I have blamed Modi more than anyone else.
So
But the point is for Congress to say that we've lost a lot in 8 years without attributing a lot of it to the opposition, who have supported every bad move of Modi or every U-turn of Modi, is, I think, hypocritical.
या नहीं,
प्लीज आप बोलिए. हाँ.
देखो ऐसे है, whoever is in the opposition, and this is the unfortunate part of Indian politics, वो ये समझता है कि मेरा धर्म है अपोज करना. Even the BJP did it when they were in opposition.
Nuclear deal
on a
with the left loonies.
Not just only the nuclear
GST.
deal, not just the GST. You name the
Aadhaar.
issue, right? They opposed it. Then they realized that this was a good
tragedy
thing.
है ना.
So this is so I
क्या
would
करें
blame it only on the Congress.
I'm
but
not blaming. Come on. I'm just saying for him to say.
No,
तो
I'll
ये
tell you
lost
what,
decade
because-
वाली बात चल रही है.
I'll tell you why.
India में
okay,
lost
one
decades.
sentence. One sentence. The
tragedy.
point which Abhijit was making, I think that's a point which actually needs to be stressed. That the job of the people who are in government is to deliver despite the opposition.
100%.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
If
Manmohan
you
Singh
do not have the
delivered
right
the nuclear
ideas,
deal.
Manmohan Singh ने पता नहीं क्या deliver किया नहीं किया,
न्यूक्लियर डील की स्पेसिफिक बात कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ, हाँ, okay,
The
fine.
nuclear
And he was
deal.
willing to
One
get
doubt.
rid of the communists,
Yeah.
which was
He was ready
the
to
best
step
thing he ever
down.
did.
And we were not a signatory
doubt.
to the NSG.
No doubt.
We got an
No.
exception in 1, 2, 3.
That was
I give you
phenomenal.
that.
You
give credit where it
And the left
Absolutely.
loonies and the rowdy right. वो कैश ले आए थे पार्लियामेंट में. बीजेपी वाले आज मॉरल लेक्चर्स देते हो कैश लेते. Now I'm not going into how legitimate होगा. पार्लियामेंट में to stall a nuclear deal
Look,
किया
for
ना support.
things like the nuclear deal, as far as I'm concerned, opposition to the nuclear deal, public or private, is high treason.
Yeah.
I'm very clear about this. High treason. Okay? It was deserving of jail term or firing squad.
नहीं come on.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
ठीक है यार,
It was-
इसका level ही अलग है.
ये थोड़ा
जारीना
No,
नहीं
no,
तो
no. I'm
जार
very
बन गया
clear
है.
about this.
Squad.
That nuclear deal was the best we could have gotten under the circumstances.
Sorry, I even
It
think
was-
that China के ऊपर भी तुम अगर अब आजकल कुछ और बोलो तो फिर I feel that is also treason.
No?
जो चाइना के ऊपर हो रहा है यार, this
हाँ.
whole thing about कि हमारे लोग पिट
Now.
रहे हैं, I think that is also
Now we
treason.
come back to the
By the way, we're
G20
missing
because
you
we're
on
no
Twitter
longer talking
because
about
no,
G20.
after
Yeah,
Galwan,
G20 we have to give my
you
side,
clarified so many things post Galwan.
He
You know,
did.
with image, and now we're missing you.
I called her up to take actual advice. Her, Snailix, and you. You are on Twitter Spaces, and I read your tweets.
So, G20, let's get back to G20. Is G20 tamasha? Yes. Has G20 suffered from mission creep and has the mission been diluted by all kinds of additional fluff and tamasha and all of that? Yes, because bureaucrats in every country are corrupt and they want to get their business class tickets and useless conferences abroad and their Marriott points or their Starwood points or
They've
whatever
already
it is
started,
that
na?
they
Some
get.
conferences have already started.
Yeah,
Exactly. ठीक है. And you want to get position and you add positions like Sherpa and this and that and what.
Harry, Sherpas have been there for Kingdom Come.
For Kingdom Come, but that doesn't make
On
it a
all
worthwhile
conferences.
job. ठीक है.
You're obviously getting influence.
What's the Sherpa business?
They are the ones who
Will guide the
who will guide
politicians.
us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
ठीक है.
Yeah,
Now,
I like
But
it.
ये मतलब ये
उन दिनों में
साल
it used to
से
be- one
it's a
second, let me
term.
finish here.
हाँ,
Why are you being so
okay.
homophobic? Silencing the homo.
I wish I could play such victimhood. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop being homophobic, God
Yeah.
damn it. Oh, sorry,
So
yeah.
Why are you attacking the only South Indian in the
before-
room?
Hey,
बोलो मैं North South
He's
divide.
also South Indian.
Of course.
So
Pure.
let's leave that aside. Now you remember till 1984 when I think 84 was the Los Angeles Olympics, right? Olympics were losing propositions. It was a prestige proposition. Since then, it became a financial model where every city hosting the Olympics used to rake in billions of dollars. G20 hosting will rake in hundreds of millions of dollars, if not about $1 billion. Because of the economies it creates. Caterers, this, that, whatnot. Transport of dollars.
We are waiting for this trickle
Mohan
down
Land और
effect.
गोपाल टेंट हाउस वाले आएंगे.
So I'll tell you. I'll tell you my take.
Your hotels will run, yeah. Your hotels are.
Remember, the Ambani wedding created genuine economies of scale.
Indonesia spent
Arey, let
$34
me
million.
finish. Why are you being homophobic?
फिर
You're
शुरू हो
enacting
गया.
you're a verbal gas chamber against homosexuals.
It's not
Please,
what
I
Indonesia.
apologize.
You're like a concentration camp
I
guard.
apologize.
It's not what Indonesia spends. It's what all the countries which go to Indonesia what they spend.
Exactly. Right. So it creates a certain economy which is very good for you. थोड़ा blip मिलेगा सब लोगों को. But in
But
terms
क्या-
of outcomes,
So let me just come to a.
remember diplomacy has two things. For low governance countries, that is to say third world countries like India, process is important. For high governance first world countries, product is important. This will be a process meeting and that's fine.
अच्छा, now that we're talking about
Diplomacy is
diplomacy,
the art of convincing a journalist that you're right.
हाँ ये बोल.
Nee, but see, I'll
There
tell
is
you
a-
one thing on G20. It has 85% of the global GDP, these 20 countries, 75% of the world trade. I think for India to be chairing it, even if it's rotational, I think it's a big moment because I think Ajit Doval had said it. You got to punch equivalent to your weight.
More
You will get-
ahead of your weight.
I'm not
More
even
than
saying
your-
ahead. I'm saying
Yeah.
equivalent. It gives you an opportunity to set an agenda where 85% of the world GDP is concerned, right? So you're setting, in a way, the global agenda. Now you can argue it
Yeah,
technically.
Congress was saying lotus
सुनो,
symbol,
सुनो.
and now you are putting a
अभी
different.
अरे यार, आपको-
अरे
मेरी
politics
बात
को
यार
Yeah,
तुम
so-
हमेशा कांग्रेस के बारे में क्यों बात करते
सुनो
हैं?
भाई कांग्रेस हो
यार
गया.
You're very
देश
Congress
पहला
phobic,
होना
you
चाहिए.
know?
So
Don't
ultimately,
attack the poor Panju.
yeah.
Excuse me, you being Madrasi phobic now.
So when as chair, the Prime Minister speaks, right? he'll be setting an agenda. He'll be setting the country's agenda. I think that's important. I think it's important because India's regional aspirations are going to clash with China's global aspirations. We know that that's going to happen. So I think when you can set that agenda with China going through a period where now we know that its economy is not as good as it's claimed to be, the COVID vaccines failed, they have their own crisis, internal crisis. I think it's a time for India
The
to
COVID
grow.
vaccines turned out to be duds.
Oh, complete duds. And I'll tell you about it off the record of what a conversation Anand and I had with somebody else on
And
the
thank
road.
God we
Tell us
didn't
on
get
the record.
Pfizer into this
जोर जोर से
country.
बोल के सारी स्कीम बता दे
But no, वो तो
I
वो
love
तो-
that, you know.
off the-
नहीं,
I
वो
love
तो
that.
नहीं, वो तो नहीं तो उसमें क्या गलत है, वो तो देश के लिए
वो
अच्छी
क्या
बात कर रहे
सेक्रेट
थे.
गेम से है, किसमें से है वो जोर जोर के बोल या गैंग्स ऑफ वासेपुर?
अक्षय कुमार
See, I don't watch
चलो मैं
but
ऑन
actual
रिकॉर्ड
TV.
बोलता हूँ. I think this government's done a disservice, this government in court, by saying, oh, you can go after the COVID vaccines, the Indian things, you can, if you took the vaccine and you're not, you got it, you fell, you got a reaction, which is no reaction that's come out data-wise, and you can back me
No,
up
no,
on
no.
that.
Pfizer, there is
I'm
data.
talking
There
about the
is-
Indian vaccines.
Indian
Baba,
vaccines,
Indian vaccines. Pfizer की बात नहीं कर रहे. You can go after them. These vaccines have saved this country.
Yeah, that's
this
right.
country is on. It's not like China because of these vaccines.
I agree.
Instead of giving them the Bharat Ratna, and I'm saying this with responsibility. आप कोर्ट में एफिडेविट दे रहे हैं, आप ठीक है, आप देख लो, हमने तो फोर्स नहीं किया था, आपको मैंडेटरी नहीं किया था. ये क्या? You should have stood up for both these companies.
No, no,
That
I
is
agree.
Serum
I
and
agree.
Nava.
Exactly.
I am
You should have
sorry.
stood up.
You
100%.
should have stood up.
And you're not just
I-
saying it because Pune wala Pune
No, no, I'm
wala.
not saying it because I am saying this. You should have for both the vaccines. No, I'm saying it. You
Both.
should have stood up.
He's being
I'm very clear. Yeah, you
clear.
had to
And
stand
they were
up.
very good vaccines. They
Brilliant vaccines.
they've worked
Yeah.
wonders
And
out
in fact,
here.
I even like our whole Covid app. उस time तो irritate हो रहे थे कि क्या download.
बहुत
But it
बढ़िया
was
है यार.
useful. But you feel so good. The Americans carry this पर्ची everywhere, which like they don't even have.
Yeah.
And even like just the other day, like I met this guy who owns Path Labs, and I was saying, हम लोग सोचते भी नहीं थे ना. आराम
Why
से
do you
test हो
always
जाता
know
है.
people who own their?
Oh, बड़े लोग हैं ना.
I met someone the other day who works in Path Lab. नहीं.
अरे यार, he's a Fauji.
Yeah,
He's
all
not
over.
a.
Just joke.
वो
He's
थोड़ी पूछ रहे what he did
So
before.
what I'm saying
no,
is
I'll
that
tell you-
it's so easy to get a COVID test done in our country.
Yeah.
It's always been okay. Fine, we went through a very bad phase during the
Yeah, but
the
listen,
second
listen,
phase.
1 second. The second phase
Second
was
wave.
bad.
The second wave was
but
bad, yeah.
it was not as though it has been hunky dory in many of the other countries.
Yeah.
These Westerners, what they were trying to do is basically they tried to,
Divert
point to-
attention from their own
from
things
their
to
own
us.
problems
Yeah.
onto India by planting all those stories on India. But I'm telling you what my daughters,
bodies lying
every
in
time they have to
freezers.
travel to India, at least in the past, they would have to go in for a test. A test would cost them over $100.
Yeah.
Right? And it would कुछ पक्का नहीं था कि कब आपका रिजल्ट आएगा 24 घंटे में 48 घंटे
एक तो
में
Uber लेके spend
हाँ.
another $60
You know,
or
it's crazy,
$50, stand in line, get the test done. You don't know when the result is going to
जहाँ
come.
पे नुक्कड़ पे
both-
जाओ 6 घंटे में रिजल्ट
And then you
Both
need the
Covaxin,
24-hour
but the second
window,
phase-
right? Because you have to board the flight. So you're in this tenterhooks all the time. Is your report going to come before
Yeah.
you board the flight or not?
I think we as a nation
We just
are
don't-
ungrateful
We are.
people.
For the
Both
good-
both Ellas and Poonawala's deserve Bharat Ratna.
I've just said it.
Deserve.
But
It's crazy why we Padma Shri दे के टर मतलब क्या
नहीं,
है?
नहीं, और
कुछ तो दो।
वो पद्मश्री वो सब ठीक है. आपको जहाँ डिफेंड करना चाहिए था आपने डिफेंड नहीं किया. देखिए आपका मुल्क चालू है. अब एस्ट्रा ने कहा यू डोंट नीड अ सेकंड बूस्टर. एक बूस्टर से कम हो गया. This country is saved and 70% is got serum, 30% got Bharat Biotech. This country is saved ना. अब चीन में देखो क्या हुआ. And you're saying आप देख लो कोर्ट
So
में.
now
क्यों
this
यार?
is the talk
Why
with
are you
this
not
new
doing
they have
that?
totally crappy,
Tridemic.
और
So tell
क्या?
us, Anand, what do you think of this? Because there are some people who are saying that Chinese को बंद करो अब. They should not get their visas to travel anywhere because of this new pandemic which is coming in this tridemic or whatever it's called.
Yeah, there's
What do
another
you
thing
think?
they're saying now. Even the मैं तो COVID is so off our mental space.
Yeah, it's
We've
got-
even forgotten it.
Yeah.
It's so
And-
bizarre.
And it's like
So what? Yeah,
exhaustion.
Oh my
remember
God.
those
You even
20
forgotten the
nights.
strain.
I didn't
Yeah.
sleep. Me and my wife
When? Sorry.
during the second phase.
Yeah,
we didn't sleep 20 nights. 1 minute नहीं सोए स्मिता जी. Because we were arranging oxygen. Or I'll tell you the truth. And truth be told, I was getting oxygen from Punjab and Rajasthan into Delhi. वहाँ refill हो रहा था. तो मैं कंटेनर लेता, आपका फोन आ जाता, मैं कंटेनर डालता ट्रक में, ले जाता, वहाँ पे refill होता था. वहाँ पे the only good thing Punjab and Rajasthan had oxygen. उनके ये थे. यहाँ दिल्ली में केजरीवाल जी और मोदी जी के लड़ाई के बीच में योर ऑक्सीजन प्लांट्स आर नॉट वर्किंग.
Crazy mismanagement.
हरियाणा
No, they
and-
hadn't spent the
They
money.
hadn't
The money
spent.
had been given.
money had been given.
हरियाणा एंड यूपी वन अनदर ट्रिप. वहां के पुलिस बोल रहे ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर अंदर आएगा तो बाहर नहीं जाएगा. तो दीज टू स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स अलाउ करते थे एंड डॉक्टर्स हॉस्पिटल्स वुड कॉल अस अप. वी मैनेज दिस ऑन अ व्हाट्सएप. आई डोंट नो व्हाई द गवर्नमेंट कुडंट डू दिस. सो व्हाट्सएप पे हमने एक डॉक्टर्स का ग्रुप बनाया. राघव चड्डा को लिया, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से कुछ लोगों को लिया और हम ऑक्सीजन रिफिल कराते थे. 20-25 nights we didn't sleep and I would break down because doctors would break down
Yeah.
saying we need oxygen.
Yeah.
And I know this one
It
doctor.
was a very traumatic.
They're very,
It
very
is-
terrible.
I mean, I talk about this.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And see, there were things which we now know were not useful.
Yeah.
Which some people, I mean, there's still divided medical opinion on remdesivir
Plasma,
and
for
things
example.
like
Oh, that
that.
was rubbish.
And blood plasma.
Yeah, what? We all
But-
went on remdesivir. We all went on steroids.
Tocilizumab.
And
Now-
tocilizumab. I've
अच्छा,
had
उस
all
जमाने
that.
में
वो black
उस टाइम
fungus हो
पे
गया.
वो ब्लैक फंगस वाला
Yeah,
सब-
Black
and-
fungus, आंख बाहर निकल रही, दांत बाहर निकल
Anand was constantly, WhatsApping me that stay on course, because all these drugs which I went through in the second phase, they play with your mind.
They
Yeah,
do, they
Tehseen.
do.
They make you think. You get random thoughts in your mind, and he was like, no, stay on course, and my son, don't die on me, like, because
It was madness.
it was that bad. Anyway, let's change
But
the
you know,
topic
I'm
because
just one thing. One thing I was very upset with the union government was they could have had a real-time data thing of saying which hospitals have beds.
They could have.
No hospital will refuse a patient. आप कुछ
No,
भी
they
कह दो.
had,
No,
but
no,
it was
I
not
think it was
functional.
not.
They had.
WhatsApp पे करते
Look,
थे.
I have been
और
to.
फिर उन्होंने-
I have been
और-
to that app.
Yeah.
Yes, now
नहीं,
every
but
one of us
see,
downloaded
there's
that
no-
app.
there's
Arey,
two issues
Delhi
here. There's two
government had
issues.
it. Central
One,
government.
the app was there.
Yeah.
It was not functioning the way
Correct.
it should have.
Yeah.
I have been to Safdarjung saying they had 200 vacancies.
But
Not a
your
single
health
bed.
Nothing was
secretary,
there,
your union health secretary should have been real time in touch with
Well,
hospitals.
I
वो
just
नहीं
hope
था.
that systems have now come into place.
See, they've not. Therein
But
lies
वही
the
है
problem.
ना.
We never
नहीं
learn
है
from
ना.
our mistakes.
I think we have a great
वो
health
हेल्थ
minister
मिनिस्टर
right now.
किसी का अभी
No.
बट वो
Bhattacharya
हेल्थ
is
मिनिस्टर
there.
हर्षवर्धन जी किसी का मेडिसिन लॉन्च कर रहे थे टू क्योर कोविड. Not jokes were
No, no,
So
see,
I
that
think
is a
right
different
from
now
your
you
side.
have a
See, that's
person who's
different
very
thing because
hands-on.
One is politics, one is the operational thing.
you have a crisis.
The issue here
यार
is
नहीं वो साथ साथ चलता.
अच्छा बताओ Tehseen, how do you deal with the trolls? Because I've had several journos coming out here and all, and I even had a stand-up artist who came here, comedian, and they were talking about how it's really affected their mental health also. So do you put a firewall or do you take it as a joke?
I take it as a joke.
Okay.
I always think. So my line is always life is brilliant, Hakuna Matata. That's my line any
Oh,
given time.
okay.
Or I think I'm privileged. I do believe that. कि I'm in this opportunity. तो ठीक है यार. And people have a right to question. People should question. ठीक है करने दो. वो उनका काम है करना. मेरा काम है enjoy करना. My life is great.
Okay. Abhijit, how do you handle the trolls?
I'm just totally cool with it.
No, but you really take it on. Come on.
No, I have fun taking it on.
And it gets
People
gross. Some of your fights are.
Yeah.
But
It's terrible.
people don't realize that trolls actually. I find it fun
revels
dealing
in
with
them.
them.
You revel in the trolling.
Like the fights.
Yeah, I like the trolling.
But you're off Twitter right now.
वो तो मेरा केस चल रहा है ना Twitter
हाँ.
के खिलाफ.
You have a huge fan following on Twitter. People, even on YouTube.
No, but I also have a huge hate club on Twitter.
Hate club also. Yeah.
But I find that, see, for me, I'll tell you why the trolls are important. I actually thank the trolls sometimes. Because in the middle of all the galis, there'll be beefeater, homo, ganja, faggot, whatnot. Mota, that too. Lots of other things.
The body
Cross-dresser,
shaming to tremendous
There's
body
lot on
shaming.
it.
which I have no issues with.
Why?
मैं मोटा हूँ,
To no, but doesn't
मैं
it?
गंजा हूँ, होमो हूँ.
No, I look at it when somebody says this ना, I look at it यार कितना घटिया आदमी होगा कि अगर तूने you want to criticize me, you want to go after me, go
Yeah.
after me on any issue. I don't have a problem. But all you can find is that I don't have hair on my head. I don't
Yeah.
have hair on
But
my
that
head
shows they
because
don't have substance.
hair
But
does not grow
in
on
the
busy
middle
streets.
of all of that,
But they don't have substance, no?
out
वो
of
substance
100
नहीं है.
galis, say out of 1,000 galis, you will actually one or two times you will get some very informed criticism.
You don't block people?
Sometimes I do block people. Like if I can't deal with the number of answers,
I block.
then I block.
I don't. किसी को ब्लॉक नहीं करता हूँ. जो है बोलो. But मैं प्यार से बात करता हूँ सबसे. I'll disagree
मैं
very.
तो कभी प्यार से बात नहीं
मैं बहुत
करता हूँ.
प्यार
मैं तो गाली देता हूँ वापस. Because you know my
I'm
name,
caustic too.
my middle name is Galidas. Like Kalidas was the great poet of Sanskrit. I'm the great
Poet of abuse.
poet of abuse. So I'm Galidas.
You don't engage at all, right, Sushant? You don't engage with trolls.
Normally, nobody trolls me
He
too
gets
much.
Pakistani
No,
trolls.
I don't. Look, what
You don't.
initially when I used to get trolled, I used to, I didn't have a thick skin at that time. Now I have a bit of a thick skin. Firstly, second, the trolling is not so much, but the third, I block anybody who's getting abusive.
Okay.
Right? Well, if you're getting abusive, then you don't have an argument. Otherwise, you can say whatever you want to say. But my response will only come. I'll see यार के तहसीन ने मेरे को कुछ बोला तो he has so many people. एक कोई टुच्चा जिसके 10 फॉलोअर हैं वो भी उसके घर वाले हैं और जो उसके अपने सेपरेट अकाउंट बनाए हुए हैं. I by responding to him, I'm giving him
Elevating,
mileage.
yeah.
Why
Yeah,
should I do
so,
that?
yeah.
So I'll ignore him.
Ignore.
But
It dies.
see, I find giving people like that mileage and giving them followers
Yeah.
great fun.
देखो, you are
Yeah,
the
you're
epitome
in a-
of perversity. So
See,
divorce.
I
So
just want
right.
to point out
So right.
that an academic
Roman.
in India called a homosexual a pervert, and a Congress spokesperson.
I'm not a Congress
senior,
spokesperson. वो जयराम रमेश जी चिट्ठी निकाल दीजिए मुझे suspend कर दीजिए.
a
वो पहले आपके
senior
post
journalist
He
and a
shouted
medical
down, yes,
professional
somebody
laughed.
yesterday. Don't ask us
And a medical professional
supplement,
laughed and
don't.
added to my to the gaslighting
Victim
and
playing.
abuse that I was
अच्छा,
subjected
You know,
to.
tell me,
एक
Anand-
पाकिस्तानी इस तरीके से विक्टिम प्लेइंग करते हैं और एक तुम करते
एक तुम करते हो, correct. Anand, you tell me, because you've picked up on these fact checkers, so-called fact checkers. वो भी करना है. These so-called fact checkers.
In
and-
real life,
क्या fake fact checkers?
I would have to charge them for them to even dare to interact with me. I'm telling you honestly, they're such doofers.
Yeah.
चौथी फेल मतलब कोई, but Twitter is free.
हाँ.
आ गए अब
No,
उनकी
it's not free. I
फॉलोइंग हो
charge for
गई.
everything.
उनकी फॉलोइंग हो गई.
हाँ.
Now this guy Zubair, incidentally, I have stood for him for his freedom of speech.
But I made you
उसके लिए
remove
बहुत-
that tweet.
So there are two. One I removed because you were factually right. The other one, it's still there because I stand up for it because a case was done under him for him calling someone hate monger. I said, look, that's ridiculous. I mean, come on, if that's so. But that guy is abusive. He's been wrong 3-4 times. But उसको मजा
he's
आता है
wrong
करने
not
में.
3-4 times.
Several
He's not
times.
frequently wrong.
In my
In your case,
He's,
okay.
he's picked on me 3-4 times and he's been wrong. 1-2 बार मैंने खुद उसको explain किया है. वो tweet भी है. अभी परसों he was wrong with Rahul Shiv Shankar.
Yeah,
He was
correct.
wrong. और मेरा नाम ले लिया उसने. Talk to Anand Ranganathan because वो रंगाराजन रंगा जो भी उसने. But he never apologizes. तो वो इतना ढीठ हो गया है. He's got no sense of propriety left. So he would never apologize because he knows anyone. आजकल ये नया ट्रेंड चल रहा है. कोई भी सॉरी कहेगा, which is a very noble thing to do. He'll immediately buy sorry worker, Savarkar. They पूरा, everyone who says sorry or apologizes, he's branded Savarkar for whatever reason. So he made a wordplay out of that as well. That I didn't apologize because I am not sorry worker. So these guys
And
are
also the
psychopaths.
others who retweet
Look, I think with Zubair,
wrong
it's an
tweets
issue
of his.
class.
Yeah, I mean he's not
nothing
well
to do with that
read.
class.
He's
No,
not,
let's
honestly.
not get into
but
that.
it is. No, it is an
Abhijit,
issue.
It's also
It is a
this
fact.
that
It's a question of caliber.
No, I think that's a wrong thing to say.
Why
No,
wrong?
it's not a wrong thing to
You
say.
assess a
Class
person,
of
na?
people is not
Look,
right.
It is
no,
not
look,
right, not
class is,
You
has nothing
assess
to
a
do with
person.
what,
Yeah, excuse
from
me.
where you have come
Yeah.
from. Class is,
What you
you
are.
could
I just say-
you could be
I
a
just say
really
you-
rich
you could-
dude and you could not have any class.
I
course,
think-
yeah,
I'm
right?
not talking money.
In
I'm saying
fact,
that you
a
could
lot of rich
disagree,
dudes
but
do not
that is
have
a
class.
Yeah, so
No,
Dawood
no,
Ibrahim
yeah,
has no
even
class,
I-
for
yeah,
example.
I
Dawood
think-
Ibrahim
it's
has
not
no
the class.
It's not about
Abhijit,
class. It's not
what
about
my
It is a
issue
class
is
thing.
It
that
is a class
he's
thing, Smita.
deliberately putting falsehood, and then there are others who are supposedly journalists who retweet that.
So
No, why wouldn't they?
understand.
Tell me one thing.
And
we are so
understand.
for example,
Journalists are supposed to stand with facts, no?
No, one second.
यार,
who told you he's a journalist?
मैं बहुत कुछ बोलना
Those
चाहता
who
हूँ.
are those who are
Smita,
retweeting.
पानी का
one
मुंह
second,
खुल
one
जाएगा
second.
तो गड़बड़ हो
Smita,
जाएगा.
Journalist
in
कौन
that
बनता है
one
यार?
episode, in that one episode,
जिसको UPSC नहीं हो उस
अब
बात
देखो
का।
Smita,
मैं आपको क्लैरिटी की
Smita,
बात no,
in that
अभिजीत-
one
अभिजीत,
episode,
हमारे
one second,
जमाने
one
में
second.
देखो जिसका यूपीएससी नहीं होता
वही
था
तो।
वो या तो इंश्योरेंस एजेंट बनता था या वो
हाँ.
जर्नलिस्ट बनता था.
Yeah, that's true.
he who can does, he who cannot becomes a journalist.
No, but no, that was still a certain.
No, I
time.
mean you tell me a fact checker, right?
is meant to
Now,
check facts.
is meant to check facts. The
Yeah.
first thing the fellow, any sensible, logical guy would do is to check whether what Nupur said
Was
is
factually accurate.
Factually
Yeah.
accurate or not.
Yeah.
He's
stood
not
up for
done that.
I stood up for Nupur.
Kamal hai yaar.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's
That
the-
is such a
so
sorry
here's the
thing.
thing.
away from-
So I need
You know,
to tell
he
guys
stands
this.
by Nupur all the time.
I stood by Nupur publicly. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll tell you my story. This is very
You
scary.
know, I applaud you for that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I said, what Nupur said, now that it's become legal, the law will take its own course. But no, she should not go to jail and you don't have a right to cut her head. And I have security. I've had the Delhi police write to the Pune police.
Yeah, no, I really I admire you.
It has
Really.
been...
Oh,
Respect.
that's insane.
And it's not just one side.
And
it's
I
not
hope
just
the right wingers respect you
it's
for
not
that.
just the-
There are many in the BJP who did not stand for Nupur, and you stood for
and
Nupur,
I'll
and
tell
you
where
have
I a
24 hour
problem-
security.
And I'll tell you where I,
want
have
to
the
tell it
problem
too.
with this government. And you know, I have. जो नुपुर ने बोला नहीं बोला वो हमारा इंटरनल इशू था, ठीक है. अरे कतार आपको धमकी दे रहा है, अफगानिस्तान दे रहा है और आप जाकर सॉरी बोल पाकिस्तान, मतलब ये मुल्क आपको, you should have stood up for Nupur. That is your duty as a country to stand up. I am sorry. What she said, didn't say, now it's a legal issue, our courts will take care of it. I even stood up against the Supreme Court on the first time for castigating her. You put her life in threat. I'm sorry.
That was horrible when they
was
said
horrible.
loose
I
tongue.
don't agree with...
Who the hell says
I
loose
don't-
tongue?
See, I don't agree with the way Nupur said it. वो बात पहले चल रही थी. The way she said it, I disagree. And you could have... And you're a political party spokesperson. So, I disagree with that. Now it's a legal issue. I don't want to comment. But as a government, whether it's Nupur or it's Tehseen, when another country attacks your citizen, look at America. It stands up for it. मजाले कोई American को कुछ करे?
I think
You should have stood
Qatar,
up for
it
your
was a
citizen.
question of them cancelling the vice president's dinner. But between a citizen's
It's
life...
a 1.5 million
A
bloody
citizen's
population
life
country.
Rich country,
is less...
it's important
No.
gas
A
wise,
citizen's
but you have
life...
to stand up,
A
yeah.
citizen's life is apparently
यार हमारे
less
को मुफ्त में गैस
important.
देते हैं.
हाँ,
बिल्कुल
exactly,
नहीं
खरीद रहे हैं
ठीक है ना.
और
Like,
कितनी गैस
nobody
देते हैं?
gives us any
मुफ्त में
more.
कुछ नहीं देते हैं.
और अगर आप
मुफ्त में कोई नहीं दे रहा है.
और मुझे पता है क्या दिक्कत है,
They
अगर आप
need to
नुपुर
sell-
के लिए खड़ा
they
नहीं
need
होगे
to sell as much to us
Tehseen, सुनो.
as we sell, as we
Basically,
buy.
for
need to
this
buy-
government-
Maybe Abhijit can
For this
illuminate us on
government-
that. No, because remember Doval met Iranian delegation.
The vice
and
president's
communique came
reception.
out saying that Doval said we will make an example out of Nupur.
Which he
now
not.
by evening, the Iranians had removed that communique. So we don't even know whether Doval said that or not. But what I mean to say is BJP threw her under the bus.
But forget
No,
BJP.
one-
And this
one-
guy
one-
stands
one
up for it
second.
and
See, this is
he's
very
suffering.
important.
Add to what I'm saying.
He has police protection, yeah.
No, no, what I'm saying is...
It's not a matter of a joke.
What I'm saying is, if the government is not standing up for Nupur, tomorrow why will they stand up for me?
Yeah.
Look, हमारे internal जो भी differences है, होंगे और हम लड़ेंगे. But my government is duty bound to protect me. Against another country, मैं अफगानिस्तान बोल रहा हूँ, हम क्या गलत बोल रहे हैं?
And you know what?
उनकी
And you know the exact point at which Nupur was thrown under the truck was when the Qataris threatened to cancel Venkaiah Naidu's reception. So a dinner party for your vice president is more important than the life of an Indian citizen.
Of your spokesperson.
जाके चूड़ियां पहनो.
नहीं, that's again not a right
Again,
thing
a
to say.
No, you are being
That's
sexist.
not a right
अब
thing
अब
to
ये
say.
देखो.
मैं
नहीं,
तो चूड़ियां
वो-
पहनती हूँ.
तुम
देख
पहन के
लो,
बैठे हो,
देख लो
गलत
ये।
है बोलना.
हाँ.
This is I
नहीं,
love
चूड़ियां
it.
पहन के डिफेंड करेंगे हम.
रानी लक्ष्मीबाई चूड़ी
अपना
पहनकर
चूड़ी
defend
दो
की
मैं
थी.
पहनूंगी.
ये ले.
No, but talking,
That will
see,
not
there is
fit
another
with-
thing
fit
that
नहीं होगा.
I think we as a society must realize.
शीशे का कांच का है.
ठीक है जो जितना फिट हुआ उतना तो पहन ली मैंने.
Smita, there's another thing I think I've come to realize this, that Twitter world is very different from the real world.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
Yeah,
so if
yeah.
on Twitter, so I have blocked, I don't know, about 12-13,000 people.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah, me too easily.
मजा आता है.
It's called block Akram.
हाँ, block का.
So
But
you Akram
I have
with
met
blocking.
many people
Yeah.
at a conference or an event or something says, hey sir, I'm a big fan. I'm sorry you have blocked me on
Yeah.
Twitter because I abused you. Please unblock me.
हाँ.
I unblock them.
मेरे साथ भी ऐसे होता है. And मतलब
I
seriously
the same thing happens
important
to me.
people come
the
to
thing
me.
is, I used to unblock. Now I'm very clear. अगर मैंने तुमको block कर दिया, that is it. You're blocked.
मेरे पास request आती हैं
No,
अभिजीत
I
से कहो मुझे
unblock.
unblock कर दे.
I unblock. When they come in real life and they come up to you and they say that, you've blocked me, and I say, do you know what
You
the
blocked a
reason
lot
was?
of people.
I
I
blocked
keep getting requests.
Yeah, and I get friends
So,
who
but
call me
again,
and-
you also have the same principle.
Yeah.
That if you're abusive,
I'm going to
I
just
don't
block.
block. I
No,
don't
but
block.
there was this one guy who comes to me and said, you've blocked me. And I said, okay, so why did I block you? You were unfair to Modi. So I abused you. I was
नहीं,
like,
पर अभी मैं बताऊं एक
तो
और
मोदी ने मेरे को ब्लॉक नहीं किया, तू क्या चीज है भाई?
प्रॉब्लम पता है क्या हो गई है, इतना पिजन होल हो गया है ना, that people don't care about morality or ethics. So if they are wrong,
हाँ.
they won't try to even correct themselves because they already have a huge fan following.
Yeah.
For example, if tomorrow Zubair is wrong on something, why would he apologize? Because even while he's wrong, people are praising him. उसकी तो अपनी कम्युनिटी बनी हुई है,
अब फिर
वो कुछ भी करे.
there are these
What a pig you
people
are,
who
yeah.
have lost jobs for whatever reason. Take it in your stride, do something else. And in this day and age, where there are so many outlets media-wise, YouTube पे चले जाओ, कहीं और चले जाओ, अपना blog शुरू कर लो. You join a PR agency, content creation के लिए there are always jobs. Unlike 15 years ago, when if you went against the government and you didn't have a job, your newspaper fired you, there was nowhere
मैडम
to go.
YouTube पे बहुत लोगों ने कोशिश की है.
चल तो रहा है, अब रवीश का भी चलने वाला
I
है.
think Dhruv Rathi might be earning more than any Indian
Yeah.
journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
नहीं YouTube में इतना पैसा नहीं मिलता. But
क्या बात कर रहे हो
इतना
यार?
नहीं मिलता है.
कितना?
वो
No,
1
you
million
get a
के
lot
ऊपर
of money.
1 million के ऊपर कुछ मिलता है, फिर 2 million के ऊपर कुछ मिलता है. They are grades, so it's not like you make a lot of money.
Okay, but
See,
whatever.
it's
There is an
even
outlet,
there.
no
But-
Tehseen. You're a journalist.
Yet
You want
he's
to
a
put a point of
20-year-old.
view.
Tehseen, he's a 20. He's
हाँ,
not doing anything
but,
else.
But you're comparing a
So obviously he's
20-year-old
earning
versus
well.
somebody who's got a family, na? It's a
Arey,
different
wait,
thing.
1 minute.
No, no, I
I'll
think
tell
you
you
make
how
enough
it
money.
starts.
Yeah,
I'll
they make
tell
a
you
lot
how
of
it.
money.
Yeah.
Listen. How does it start?
Oh no!
You
One second.
start
I
trolling.
must come in here. If you are doing
Instagram,
YouTube
Twitter
from
pe.
India,
Huh.
then you don't earn much
Ah,
money.
more
But if
hits.
you're doing, so that is why he's abroad.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But Instagram,
So
Twitter
more
पे बहुत
eyeballs
मिलता है.
from if you have if
Yeah.
you're sitting in America and you get there are more hits,
Yeah.
then you make
Yeah.
more money. Listen, wait. Some of these people who start trolling, they put something outrageous. More followers come, वो troll हो जाते हैं, वो अरे वाह, this guy is like eyeballs and all that. वो troll हो गया, वो he's become this troll in chief. Then a political party hires him as spokesperson. वो spokesperson बन जाता है और फिर वो arrest हो जाता है तो वो politician बन जाता है.
Now,
But-
now
but
वो
you know,
troll
the
है
best thing
और
is-
कुछ नहीं है.
But you know these trolls, ये Twitter तक है. I've had experiences. एक तो मैंने left Loonies का बोला. At the Hyatt, I was doing lunch with somebody
Bikha,
from...
you're talking about me dropping names. I was at lunch at the Hyatt.
No, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. There's a reason I said Hyatt. Because this is in central Delhi, a 5-star hotel, right? So you expect. So my security, and this is a diplomat, her security is outside. We're talking, we're having a conversation. She wants to go to Punjab and, you know, kind of. This guy walks up to me, और जैसे होता normally selfie, और ठीक है, ले लो. And then he takes a Congress politician woman's name and says, I want to cut her head. He says this publicly in front of people. And the thing is, it's so scary because if somebody's so lunatic to say this,
Has
you can
come
just-
so close to you.
So close, he can just pick up a fork and hit you in the eye.
Yeah.
I've had it in a 5-star hotel, again, in Pune. I'm surprised. I'm saying these because you expect a certain filtered measure at a secure venue. This guy walks up to me, says, I see you on TV, etc. Mentions you, says, Arey, I love your debates. You. Then, wo hota hai, his wife takes pictures, says, "Ma'am, ne aapko Big Boss mein dekha." And then he says he wants to rape my wife.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, God.
He said this. And in that 1 second, you're wondering, should I hit him? If I hit him, is it privilege? In that 1 second, you're thinking, "Nahi mara, what will my wife think of me if I go and tell back?"
No, you
and
should
all
have
of
hit him.
and all of this in that
should
1
have.
second, this conversation,
Yeah.
and you're shaking out of fear, out of anger.
No, I get his point. It's like that Will Smith moment.
Yeah,
You
and
don't know
you
whether
don't
to
know what
react or
do
not
you
react.
remember? Do you remember what happened to what's his name? Vikram. वो NDTV में जो था.
Chandra,
Vikram Chandra.
क्या हुआ?
This guy decided to take a selfie and then he says, "Oh, NDTV kharab hai" or some shit like that and ran off. This thing,
This doxing is called,
you
right?
have to. No, it's not called doxing.
Oh, okay.
It's a pranking or whatever.
Huh.
Everybody has to condemn it.
Yeah.
If you're taking a selfie low. After that, you publish what you
Yeah,
want.
we all should
But-
become like Jaya Bachchan. I don't like selfies.
Yeah.
Don't take photos.
No, but that's
taking it to the other extent. Achha, so
She's
now
a
shall
bit
we?
insufferable.
Tesi, 2023, what do you expect? Anything, any thoughts? What do you want it to be different from 2022?
I'll tell you what I want. I want peace. I want this gap that's happened thoda kam ho jaye.
Yeah.
And jo bhi ho, we're going to in 2024 important globally, America, UK, Indian and Indonesian elections. Thoda sa country heal ho jaye. And there's progress in the country. That's what I want. I think it's important, like you said, we move from 2,500 to 10, 12,000. So that progress starts. So there's some joint commonality. Little less hate, little more love. I think that'll be good.
Abhijit?
I hope for a lot, but I expect nothing to change. So I've learned not to have unrealistic expectations.
Are you saying I'm unrealistic?
Yes.
You hurt me. I'm not doing lunch with you.
Nothing's going to change. It's just going to be more of the same. more tamashebazi because, unfortunately, this government treats event management as policy making. So, tamashas bahut honge. The Congress also thinks event management is opposition. So, udhar bhi tamashe honge. You'll probably have one more big protest that comes out because now the government has basically incentivized all protesters since the farm protest. So, you'll have one more big protest movement sometime in March, April, which will again paralyze Delhi for like 6-7 months. So, that will probably happen. I don't think 2023 is a year to look forward to.
Yeah, what about you, Anand?
Not to look forward to.
Not to look forward
What
to.
a nice way to finish off 20.
I'm almost like, I'm almost
मतलब मैं
in
डर
tears.
गया.
हाँ, बहुत
The
sad
only,
हो गया.
only thing worse than this is Harry and Meghan show, which
Yeah.
we haven't discussed.
मतलब
much.
ये भी
Why
haven't
didn't we
discussed.
discuss?
I mean, we know we should.
No,
This,
what
this
was
is,
that?
please,
this
I
is,
don't
this
know
is like
that.
the most
Wait, I have
important.
to.
This
What
is
was
the
that?
most.
You're just jealous.
Bell,
You're, not,
bell,
you're just
bell, I
jealous
don't
of
want.
Megan. That's
No,
what.
अच्छा, but
What was that? That was
That what?
gross. That thing, that promo. You saw that?
I haven't seen it.
Once a promo.
Oh.
Can I sing a Harry and Meghan song, please?
Okay.
Harry और Meghan की देखो यारी, सबसे प्यारी, सबसे न्यारी. Harry और Meghan, Meghan और Harry. We love you, Meghan and Harry. Oh my God.
So if there's anything I look forward to is more such lunacy in 2023. So Anand, tell me, he's made this really Bharat Bhushan wale sad prediction, but I'm almost in tears.
Yeah.
2023, what do you think?
I largely agree with Abhijit.
Yeah.
Because things will be largely the same. Because I think I've come, मैं कहता था कि हमारे पास ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं है, हमारे पास टाइम नहीं है, जल्दी जल्दी करो चीज़ें यार. But India is incremental progress only, So
That's government policy also.
that is government's policy, and a lot of things I think this government has really imbibed what Narasimha Rao said. To not take a decision is also to take a decision. So a lot of things, and high hopes always with governments to think for the people, apni condition improve ho. And let me tell you, let's be very honest, 5 of us are sitting out here. We don't need a great improvement in our conditions, right? We are living our lives. हम अपने देश के लिए जी रहे हैं ना, हम अपने देश की प्रोग्रेस चाहते हैं.
Exactly.
Yeah.
हमारे पास सब कुछ है यार.
We're privileged.
Yeah.
Honestly, we
We're
are.
privileged, and we're privileged mostly because of our overdoing, largely, overwhelmingly, you can say. The fact is, we don't need the government to work for us.
Yeah.
We need it to work for our people.
That's true.
And I hope people realize this कि हम सब एक ही हैं यार. इंडिया मतलब हमें सारी gated communities ही मान लो. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm talking of our privileged existence, but it is a fact.
Yeah.
We don't need this government. Tell me one policy of this government in the last 8 years that has affected me. I have toilet, I have gas cylinders. Okay, COVID, you can say it, vaccines वगैरह, but उसमें भी government का इतना रोल नहीं था. अगर आप देखो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में प्राइवेटली मैं जाके वैक्सीन लगवा लेता अपना
Government only stops you, doesn't.
गवर्नमेंट इज हिंडरिंग अस
We need less government, more governance.
To quote Modi.
Sushant, your
कहा
turn.
था मोदी जी ने?
जी.
क्या genius है?
Unrealized.
अच्छा, very
हाँ,
nice.
ये तो
Sushant.
मोदी जी का था, but
और मुझे नहीं
look,
पता था.
on a very personal note, health, wealth, prosperity, right?
Yeah.
On what is my hope, the same as
Tehseen.
Tehseen. What do I expect? The same as Abhijit. Because maybe I'm just very cynical and very pessimistic.
Yeah.
But I don't see. I see some very good things happening in this country, but I also see some very bad things happening in this country. I think the polarization is only going to increase because everybody seems to be profiting from it without realizing that this is going to be very damaging. You can have very strong political positions, but to have polarization of the sorts we are moving towards and we are already into is not a very good thing. I think internationally, there'll again be some very good things which will happen, but I think there are very serious risks which we are going to be up against.
Okay.
I'm not so sure whether the China front will remain silent or not. I fear. Okay, I'm just being depressive, but
No, I get that.
I think what's happening in Punjab is something which is very
Which
scary.
you've been saying this for
Scary.
quite some time.
It's
Yeah.
scary.
It's a year
We're
before
seeing the beginning of
elections.
militancy.
Yeah.
there once
Scary.
It's
again.
very,
We're
very
seeing,
scary. And I think the Aam Aadmi Party government is only going to make it worse.
Yes.
I don't know whether it is deliberate or it is, they're just incompetent.
Yeah, so people like, Sushant and me, we are of the vintage which remembers the 1980s, and we
Me
have,
too.
and we've been in Delhi in the 80s. We know what it
I have
was
family in
like,
Punjab,
family
yeah,
in
so-
Punjab. So, the last thing any of us want to do, and even, when you meet with Indians abroad, that's the first thing they're saying, is India going back to that phase of
Yeah.
80s with the Khalistan movement reviving? None of us want that.
And nobody is doing anything to stop it.
Yeah.
But
Right.
this is where I have again a problem with the government.
I
Should
agree.
come down heavily.
I agree.
I mean, आप बताओ यार.
I couldn't agree more with
Yeah.
you, but I don't see
अभी
that
आप
happen.
मुझे बताओ.
They're sending
And
the
due
wrong
respect,
signals.
One second.
That
If
retreat
you
on
look
the
at, for
Farm
the
Bill-
example,
Supreme Court before
the
whose
retreat
majesty
on the
we
Farm
bow.
Bill was handing a victory to the Khalistan.
But I'll tell you what.
No, but
due
not only
respect
that.
to-
You see the
No,
you see
I'm going to say another
the
point.
image building now. Since the last 1 year, it's actually more than a year since the farm bills were taken. No, wasn't it?
Yeah, last year.
No,
Last
that's what I'm coming
November.
on the Supreme
last
Court.
November. So,
Yeah.
Now you see the image building exercise. Modi ji is very carefully crafting his association. How much he loves the Sikhs. He's called the Sikhs, the delegations there. He's gone
but
to. a lot-
nahin,
वो
Anand,
करना चाहिए.
no, no,
I
one
think
second.
that
No,
is
that is
right.
necessary.
No, but
Yeah.
one
Do I
second.
oppose
Why
him?
do you
He's
need
right.
to do that?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
Go
why.
the extra.
I'll tell you why. Do I oppose Prime Minister Modi? Just for the record, and I completely oppose it. When I visualize myself as say handling, I've never been Prime Minister handling something, I would meet the delegation, the influencers, right? You have to meet the influencers.
Yes.
You
I
have
agree.
to.
No, one second.
जब आपको
Okay.
आपको मीडिया में बात
let me just
Problem
let-
कुछ और है।
नहीं, एक मिनट,
आपको
सुनो।
influencers को बात करना
See,
है, वहाँ
okay,
दिक्कत है।
so I think you're mixing up issues. Number one, from whatever I know, I think Mr. Modi and many people in the current government, they don't see the Sikh religion as something separate. They see as part of the larger
Yeah,
Hindu
yeah.
identity. Okay,
But
one.
they don't.
No, one second.
Yeah,
many
but
of them do, and
this is
many of them.
It's a 300-year-old thing.
Many of them actually, at least in the case of the Prime Minister, I think it can be said that he has a very strong. I don't know what is the correct word. Affiliation to galat hai shayad, but a very strong attachment you can say towards it.
Yeah.
So part of what he does is because of that, right? Unfortunately, the way it's turning out, it seems like he's trying to appease
वो कह रहा हूँ.
the
That's what I meant.
reactionary element.
Not that one
He's
shouldn't
not-
do it, but
So I think the disaster is you did it with the Akalis. You let them run riot in Punjab and destroy Punjab. And your ministers kept quiet and never did anything. They never uttered a word.
So-
They raked it in. So they have been responsible as much as anybody else for what is happening in Punjab. So but I don't want to carry on and on. Otherwise, we can do another 1 hour on Punjab. So one is I fear bad times in Punjab. Number two, I fear bad times on the terrorist front. I think that is a danger which is constantly lurking, not
Western
just
border.
coming from
Western border.
not just
Basically-
coming from Pakistan, but even domestic kind of terrorism, which is partly going to be a result of the kind of extremism which we are seeing.
And the
This
polarization.
Sartan se juda is not something which is an outlier.
Exactly.
It is something which is becoming
the
quite
Arabs don't have this slogan.
That's why it should have been charged under terror laws.
Yeah,
and
no.
this government did nothing.
They-
You cannot say I will cut somebody's head as
Yeah,
a chant. I am sorry, it's a terror
I
activity.
couldn't agree more with you
And
on
how
that.
dare
so
you not
I
put it?
so I fear internal security issues. I fear external security issues. I think on the economy we'll be okay. I'm not so sure whether we'll
Economy
fly
will
high.
be fine.
We'll be fine, but I don't think there is going to be any real major breakthrough coming because I don't see any real policy framework which leads me to believe that yes, we are now getting there. In the sense कि आप जितना मर्जी बोल लो कि यार I want make in India. You want to create industry out here, then you our friend Gautam Chikarmane and the work he has done on the regulatory frameworks until and unless and these
is
guys, and to be
implemented,
fair
yeah.
to the government, they are trying to address those issues.
Yeah.
But until and unless you move really fast in addressing those issues,
But
how
basically you've put bureaucrats in charge of addressing those issues.
Yeah, so-
who
and-
wanted
and-
to sink that report in the first place.
No, but and also,
Right,
if I can
it's-
add to that, you talk of economic front. That is the most important front.
most important.
Most important.
वो sort out हो जाए
बट
तो
उसमें सॉसी मैं बताता हूँ, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि आप चाइना के साथ हमारी वो है कंपटीशन है, आत्मनिर्भरता
competition
का
है,
स्लोगन भी तभी आया था, इफ यू रिमेंबर, गलवान के आसपास ही आया था आत्मनिर्भर का. It's been 3 years, okay. Now our trade deficit has grown to $77 billion. We are trading the maximum ever since records began. $125 billion is the trade. Now मैं ये नहीं कह रहा overnight change it, but government का अपनी रिपोर्ट ये कह रही है,
movement भी
अपनी
नहीं है.
रिपोर्ट कह रही है कि 82% of the trade that we do imports from China can be sourced from a third country cheaper.
Yeah.
Now that is important. Not only can we source it from a third country, we source it cheaper. अब 3 साल में यार आप इस डायरेक्शन में जाना था, चलो थोड़ा सा जाते हैं, आप तो उल्टी डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हो.
And they banned the app so that they didn't have to ban the real stuff.
So I don't understand why. Now I can say that okay, Modi is not responsible for that day to day. Yeah, but you talked of bureaucrats. Is it not the responsibility of the bureaucrats to say कि we have 3 years? I want our trade imbalance to be slashed to half. I want our imports to be.
Do you know how the bureaucracy works? Half the time, you talk to the
who has
guys.
empowered
One
the
second.
bureaucracy?
Half the time.
Who empowered the
where does the buck
bureaucracy?
stop?
The buck stops at the
yeah.
PMO.
Oh, yes. But what happens is, for example, when this Galwan thing happened, the PMO, for example, they were kind of informal instructions issued कि China का माल बंद करो. ठीक है? You remember? There were these ships.
Plastics बंद करने and all that.
And ships were at the port and वो demurrage पड़ते जा रहा था. All sorts of things were happening. Again, I don't want to name the people and the companies involved. But there were companies which were trying to shift their entire manufacturing from China to India.
To India.
Your babus in the Ministry of Commerce and some of the other ministries, they thought this is imports happening from China, तो उन्होंने वो बंद कर दिया.
I mean,
इतने
this is
ढक्कन
criminal.
है.
ये criminal है.
You know what the Pakistan army has done to Pakistan, the IAS has done to India.
No,
Yes,
but Paji,
but
were
where does
any
the
of
buck
those
stop?
bureaucrats
Ivor Jennings,
stop?
One second, where
in
does the buck
1952,
stop? I'm sorry,
in
the buck stops at the
1952,
PMO.
read this. Ivor Jennings report. What is the Ivor Jennings thing? 1952 report called constitutional something in Pakistan. He says very clearly. The net result of partition was not that Hindus went to India and Muslims went to Pakistan, but it is that the army went to Pakistan and the bureaucrats went to India, and they will both, he quote unquote, they will both hang around their necks like a hangman's noose. What the ISI is to Pakistan, the IAS is to India.
So,
But-
you know,
but
in the
wait, please bolo,
IAS,
Sushant bhai.
in the IAS,
Very strong
For
words.
example, and there are some really bright guys who get into the IAS. But what do? You have created no specialization. अच्छा, जो बंदा मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ अर्बन डेवलपमेंट से रिटायर होता है सेक्रेटरी, ही
Coal and
सपोज्ड टू बी
mines
द
में चला
ग्रेटेस्ट ही इज सपोज्ड टू बी द ग्रेटेस्ट अर्बन प्लानर इन दिस कंट्री. ठीक है, वो 2 साल रहा सेक्रेटरी, उसको कुछ नहीं पता, ही इज पुशिंग फाइल्स, बट ही इज सपोज्ड टू बी द ग्रेटेस्ट. जो एनिमल हस्बेंडरी या सेक्रेटरी एग्रीकल्चर वो हुआ, ही इज सपोज्ड टू बी द ग्रेटेस्ट
Civil aviation में at one point of time Delhi airport had 2 runways crossing each other like this.
Don't tell me.
No,
Yeah.
that is an accepted runway crossing.
Really?
There's a thing to it. So that wasn't particularly bad. But what was bad was because of the Hanuman statue outside. One runway has a certain
Shiva,
takeoff and,
Shiva statue.
Shiva statue.
Huh.
One runway which was planned. Nobody thought of orienting that particular runway slightly differently.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of a takeoff limitation, load limitation.
No, but
and
then
things like that.
they took the pedestal off that and they've
Something.
made
No,
the-
But this is
It's
what
been
I mean. You
constant.
see,
Yeah.
3 years ago, if I was running this as a corporation and an enemy had killed my soldiers, right? I would have said in 3 years, I want our trade to be slashed to half or 3/4 something.
gonna-
Do something.
Anand.
no
Take
country
action.
is able
Anand.
to do that. I
But
believe.
यहाँ उल्टा चला गया.
But मैं आपको और एक चीज बोलता हूँ.
अब
और
ये
एक-
billion
I'll
dollar-
tell you- I'll tell
Look
you
at
one
it
more.
from
I'll tell you-
Modi's point of view. Through the IAS implementing his ground level policies, he has managed to win 2 elections resoundingly. Who is he going to listen to? Anand Ranganathan or IAS?
यार वही है ना फिर अब तो
देखो
जैसा
ना,
मैंने
जो
कहा
IAS वाला जो है सोशल
2023
वेलफेयर पॉलिसीज आपने
socialism.
इम्प्लीमेंट की, बहुत अच्छी इम्प्लीमेंट की, एंड यू हैव डन अ वेरी गुड जॉब ऑफ इट. ओके, आई हैव नथिंग अगेंस्ट द सोशल वेलफेयर प्रोग्राम्स ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, राइट? इट्स द गवर्नमेंट
should.
जॉब टू डू
We
दिस,
should.
राइट? What I have a problem with is on the other stuff.
Agreed.
Right.
But see, he
That
can't
is where there
mentally
is an
separate them.
That
He
is
thinks
where there
that
is
the
an end of
same person.
imagination.
He thinks that the same person
Can
who
do the other
who
stuff
gives
also.
electricity to a village can carry on a negotiation with the Chinese. See,
वही कह रहा हूँ ना,
the
ये सब
argument,
करे
the
क्या?
It took us
argument
8
for
years to
specialization
realize.
is the IFS.
It took us 8
One
years to
second,
realize
Anand,
that
one second,
we are.
Anand, one second, it's an important point. Because the micro of trade, the micro of climate, the micro
It's
of
so
economics,
complex.
it is
Has become
so
com-
complex. इनकी education नहीं है, they're not given through life training. Most of them are anyway there because the Bihar mein kitna Dahej milega.
Even if you look at the regional specialization,
Of course, it's the
unlike
truth.
many other countries where people, and I've seen this in the Russians, I've seen it in the Americans also. पहले तो होता था, अब पता नहीं होता है कि नहीं. If they would start their tour of duty in Pakistan, come to India, go back to Washington, come to Bangladesh or come to India, go to Sri Lanka, come back to India, go to Pakistan. And in the 30-35 years of their careers, many of them would only be in this place or back and maybe 1 or 2 posting somewhere else. हमारे यहाँ पर है एक दिन आप सेनेगल में हो, अगले दिन आप कोलंबिया में हो,
There is no
तीसरे
career
दिन फिर आप
Yeah.
फिर क्योंकि ये 2 पनिशमेंट पोस्टिंग हो गई, फिर आपको अमेरिका या किसी वेस्टर्न यूरोपियन कंट्री जहाँ पर यू हैव नथिंग टू डू, राइट?
That's not punishment posting. That is
अरे
ideal.
No,
ये
that's
2
a
हो गई ना
benefit.
पनिशमेंट, सेनेगल तो
Senegal हो.
पनिशमेंट पोस्टिंग
हाँ,
हुई ना.
Senegal.
वहाँ से
This is
फिर.
a very important point. Let me macro this point because it's a very important point. That lack of career planning for somebody, that they become an Africa specialist or a trade policy specialist or a disarmament policy specialist, you will also see it in the military. They
Yeah.
do not encourage you becoming,
Yeah,
say,
but Abhijit, I
one
have to
second,
come
one
in on
second,
it.
I have to
Only
come
to
in.
let
One second,
Anand
let me
say
finish my point. Please, let me finish my point. You are not allowed to become an electronic warfare specialist or a certain kind of a specialist and things like that. The career planning is all over the place across the entire government.
It was the permanent bureaucracy versus the lateral entry guys.
I see.
And they were always kept onto the side. They never really became part of the system really.
And
And
see,
again,
so it's
the
a dud. It's a
They
dud.
were never given
it's not
training
really-
in the games that the bureaucracy plays.
Not only that, see what they
Book like
can
they-
do.
No,
For
no,
example, what you don't need to have lateral entry that you get say somebody
Yeah.
like a Tehseen, you make him bring him at the joint secretary level, and then he continues and he retires. He can come in for
For
a
a year.
3-year period,
Correct.
4-year period, and then he goes back to doing what happens. For example, in think tanks abroad, that you get into government, you serve for 3 years, 4 years, along with it's just co-terminus with a particular administration, and then you go back to your company or you go back
Also
to whatever else
university.
you were doing.
You take it's called a public service sabbatical. Okay. The problem is, but there is a problem even there. Because, unless you are part of the echo chamber, you do not get into government. So you have to
We're
go
going to do
telegraph.
वो तो वहाँ पर भी
a
यही है.
वहाँ पर
separate
भी है.
podcast on
But-
echo
but-
chambers. So
sorry,
let's
just-
wrap it up and let's hope that 2023 is not as dismal as we have just
As
thought
we had
about.
out to
It's not
be.
as, he predicted,
as he predicted.
and as good as I hope for.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is that the whole decade of the 2020s might be a disastrous decade because it started with COVID. 21 was bad. 22 is indifferent. I don't know what 23 will bring.
ये बात
Fingers
मैंने
crossed.
बोला तो आपने टोका इनको नहीं टोक रहे हो आप. This is your bias.
Chalo, thank you guys. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming, and we
Thank
shall
you very much.
reconvene 6 months from now, and let's see where the
NSS,
2023
yeah.
is.
We will have an assessment.
We'll have an assessment. Let's do that.
assessment.
Okay.
Right? Thank
sounds
you.
good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
okay,
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching this episode of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. I hope you like and subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Wish you a very happy new year, and let's hope 2023 brings with it happiness, prosperity, and good health for all of us. Namaste. Jai Hind.